Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. This week, we thought we were going to have enough to talk about. Turns out we got quite some things to talk about. We have interviews coming out of Famitsu, Dengeki, Game Watch, as well as a Korean live letter, which was not supposed to have any expansion information at all, but it ended up having it. Plus, we go on esports now, boys. But anyway, I'm looking at our guest, who we'll introduce in a second here. I'm one of your hosts, Michael, Mr. Happy Pobro. Of course, joining me is Sly, a.k.a. Slythefox, a.k.a. Sly, a.k.a. Greyfox, a.k.a. You My Boy Blue. How you doing?
I'm doing good, but, fuck me. This ain't...
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
This is Twitch. This isn't like some other website where that kind of stuff happens. I'm just saying. All right. But we do have a guest for this week. It's surprising you guys as much as it's surprising me, because we weren't gonna have a guest this week, and then in the middle of my middle of the day live stream, I got a resub from a certain individual, and on the fly I was just like, "Yo, you want to be on tonight's show?" He's like, "Yeah." So joining us is Michael Magickmann Byrne.
Oh yeah, what's up, my friend? What a just like surprise state of the. Hey, yeah, it's at 7. Can you make it? Yeah, sure. Why not? All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Fantastic. What's up, Sly?
What is up? Wait. We do this every time, and I gotta get it. Can I get a Big Daddy, please? Can I get?
Oh no,
Daddy,
I forgot about Big Daddy.
See,
Yeah.
I tried like work it in so that he just doesn't notice.
Don't say Big Daddy and work it in the same sentence. Don't do that.
And Chad is already bringing up steak quotes. I've made my impression on the internet, and it is meat. And I'm happy with that. That's fine. What
Big Daddy and meat? Just don't say them back to back.
You've gotta have goals, Big Daddy. You've gotta have
There you
goals.
go.
And
So
I've met mine.
There you go. Now, for those of you watching live, I guess even on the YouTube recording, we're having some connection issues. So, like, occasionally, like, the cameras might get a little fuzzy, or, like, it might stop and start occasionally. But unfortunately, it kind of happened right as the show is about to go. So, not really much time to fix it. But it's stable. It goes stable, unstable. And I'm just making sure you guys know we're aware of said problem. So...
Or we could just be covering for Mr. Happy's shitty internet.
It was
one
perfectly.
or the other. I mean,
it was the best it's been in like days or weeks today.
Because I'm here.
Yeah, but because now you're here,
West
it's
Coast
bad.
to Pittsburgh, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, you're ruining everything.
I know. I usually do. So, no surprises on my side. But no, it's good to be back. Thank you for the invite. Always look forward to coming on with you two experts and chatting Final Fantasy.
Yes, because you're not dead.
I am not dead. Contrary to people that may not watch Happy's stream every single day, when they see me in there, the first thing, oh, he's back. No, I never died. I never died. I am still alive. I still do the Final Fantasying. I still do all the gaming. And I'm this close at 200 minions, Happy. This close.
I'm glad we got the update.
More minions for 200.
I got two lines on Wondrous Tale, so I got me a Thancred.
I'm just 3 away. 197 sitting there. 197.
I'm glad you keep
I'm
this. Like,
enjoying my
he thinks
Nintendo
about
Switch,
it that much, Sly.
Love it.
He thinks about it so much that he came to the show like with the number in his head.
Oh yeah. No, I didn't. Here's the thing. I didn't even have to think about it. I know it. Like, you could catch me on the street. Hey, minion count 191. I just know.
And me sitting here at a paltry 101.
Yes.
He's got the game in front of him though. He's cheating. He doesn't know that off the top of his head. I know his secret because whenever he does this, like he looks up, I'm like, he's looking at his.
All right.
I know how it flies. So speaking of which, talking about you not being dead, some people don't know who you are at all because you only come on the show like once a year.
That's true.
So you might have had your introduction to the people who know who you are. But for those who are wondering why it's a big deal for some of the people who've been around for a while, why don't you explain it?
I'm a stupid.
You call me Big Daddy, I'm calling you Big Deal. All right.
Oh, hey, all right, Big Daddy. What's up, little? Say Byrne in chat. So years and years ago, we had the Final Fantasy 11s, right? And then the 14 version 1 came out, and it sucked ass. And GameBreaker.tv at that time did a podcast called the XIV Podcast. Obviously, when version 1 tanked and version 2 came out, those hosts weren't there anymore, and I had gone from one site to working at GameBreaker TV, and I wanted to, because I was really into it, see if we could relaunch the XIV podcast. So it was going to be Gary Gannon and I, who a lot of GameBreaker followers obviously know the name Gary Gannon, but he wanted me to find a third host. And so at that time, there were 2 or 3 people that I followed personally, just not professionally, just personally, because I work in the games reporting and podcasting and all that, but just personally followed. And Haps, you were one of them.
Hey!
You were one of them. And I was talking to Gary Gannon about these couple of people, and maybe we should reach out to one. And ironically, as I was pitching Mr. Happy to Gary Gannon, Mr. Happy reached out to me saying, hey, I hear that you're going to be doing this thing. Love to be a part of it. Would love to appear once or twice or as a guest host or whatever. And we hosted XIV Reborn, which all these people that know us, or know me at least in chat, that's probably where they know me from if they're following just XIV and not other gaming stuff. So yeah, we hosted XIV Reborn for, I guess, what, about a year? A little less, a little more, something like that.
I don't remember how many episodes we had.
Yeah, we had quite a few. And then so when GameBreaker kind of, did its thing and a bunch of us kind of left. I see some of you know me from MMO Bomb, which is another gaming site that I am the editor-in-chief at. That's cool. Awesome. Thank you for also coming and watching this show. But yeah, GameBreaker is where it all started for the 2 of us. And when that podcast went away, Haps, you started a few months later State of the Realm as its kind of replacement and have carried the torch since.
We've held the torch together, Sly. Sly's been on more State of the Realm episodes than I have.
Wow, that's kind of funny when you think about it.
Because I when I did World Prague, I was like,
so
you
know what, Mr. Happy, you were my co-host on GameBreaker, and by that count, you're technically Sly's co-host. I mean, that's just the way I got though.
I technically did more shows than you for GameBreaker.
Yes, because towards the end I was
see, you burned by your own logic.
I don't know. Did you really do more than me?
Yeah, because I
remember getting in a big fight with a fill-in host one day behind the scenes. I won't mention names, but Haps, you probably remember this.
I remember.
Because Haps and I were, for entertainment value, poking fun at the host not playing the game, which we thought was pretty funny and made for some interesting banter, and they didn't like that. They thought it made them not credible. And it's like, everybody knows you don't play the game. What are you worried about credibility?
Just like everyone thinks you don't play anymore.
Yeah, everybody thinks I don't play. I log in every day. In the entire time that 2.0 has been out, I have taken 2 breaks, one of which was a month and a half and one of which was a month. And even during those 2 times, one of them I actually did not renew my sub, but the other one I paid my sub, I just didn't play. But yeah, I'm on every day. Behemoth, where it's all at. Sly knows.
Sly knows. I think this is the first time I've been out.
Cool Kids Table. How you doing?
That's what he calls Behemoth, the Cool Kids Table. I
I
call it RMT tells. Anyway. That's what I call it at the very least. But anyway, now that the crowd has become more familiar with you, those who are newer in the newer times, let's get into the many topics that we did not expect to be on the show this week. Like literally the night of the last State of the Realm, I sent Sly a message like, so there was a bunch of interviews, and so we have our show for next week.
And it always happens that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how the show happens. Byrne knows because he got me into the mentality of doing weekly, and then there were weeks where there's nothing, and we're just like...
It's tough sometimes. It's really tough sometimes. Like, we would look forward to the shows where we were doing a full patch review.
Yeah.
After we had gone through it for like a week or two, like just like you guys do on State of the Realm, where you set up the spoiler-free until X date, and then you just kind of dive into it. We did a very similar thing where we did not talk about specific content, but then there were like the weeks. The live letter was 3 weeks ago. There's nothing happening for another 2 weeks. You want to talk about glamour? That's all the news that's out there.
Dude, glamour's the true end game. Are you kidding me? And then when Sly and I get into certain topics, like there are ones he's not interested in, ones I'm not interested in. I hate both of you for one thing you share in common.
We're going to talk about it too.
VP, and yes,
yeah,
that
we're
is.
talk about it.
We are in theory, or I'm going to talk about it, and you two will
I have
listen.
thoughts. I'm not going to sit back and smoke and read like I did the last time I was on.
Thank you. Or slide. Yeah, he drinks, you smoke, I talk. We're the unholy triforce as far as I'm concerned. All right. So there were following interviews and the following things that happened this week again. We're going to be going over the Game Watch Famitsu and Dengeki interviews first. Specifically, we're going to be starting with the Famitsu and Dengeki one, since that one's literally just a bunch of bullet points. We're going to be using Gamer Escape to follow along with this. So if anybody is curious, you can just go to Gamer Escape's website, and they have all this information already there. And so whenever it comes to the expansion, we're always feeling like we're starved for information. So we're grasping at every friggin' straw that we can find. And there's a lot of straws to grab at in these interviews. So
Sounds so dirty.
Only with you here. So have you guys kept in touch with what these things are over the week, or are you guys going to be? Are there some of you going to be looking at it for the first time?
I've actually seen it.
I've seen these too.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go through each point, and if there's something to discuss there, we'll stop and discuss it. If not, it'll get a nod, an okay, and we'll move on, because otherwise we'll be
thumbs
here.
up.
Well, yeah, a thumbs up, and we'll move on. So we're going to start with Dengeki. First point, changes to parry, accuracy, blocking, piety are coming. Details at a later date.
So they're removing parry?
That's the big thing, because parry and accuracy are on the chopping block, as far as I'm concerned. I think accuracy is going for certain.
And this just kind of made sense with the whole revamp of the battle system, that some of these stats might be going away and changing anyway. So this that point was not a surprise for any of us, I don't think.
Are we still holding on to hopes that parry will make it through and be changed? Or do we think that parry's just they're going to do something entirely different with it?
Not at all. Where you think accuracy is going, I really honestly think parry will be the first thing to go before accuracy.
At least people use accuracy now. I don't like, the thing is about accuracy is it's the only thing that stops me from just stacking one stat. That's like its one major purpose at this point.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it's gone, if a piece ends up with skill, speed, determination, I'm never going to look at it. I wouldn't look at it before, but it's going to be even worse. And I want to get you guys' thoughts on something. So I'm convinced now, after Proto Ultima came out, and we talked about this last week, that the way that they do off stats in this game is they say, okay, we've made this item and it needs stats. They press a button that puts the stats in a randomizer, and then they just say, yeah, go with that.
Yeah, it's like pull out the Yahtzee dice. They're different colors. Green is parry and shit. All right, go ahead.
And then you end up with like full right side where it's like parry, accuracy, parry, skill, speed, parry, accuracy, parry, skill, speed. And you're like, that's what the dice landed on. We can't change it.
Don't blame us.
I like to think that they actually take thought into certain stats for certain jobs, but
you'd like to think, yeah, well, you can keep thinking, but unfortunately we have nothing to disprove it. Our anecdotal evidence seems strong here.
So we're going Yahtzee board on this one?
Yeah, always the Yahtzee board. That's Byrne coined it. There you go. So the next thing is updates to company crafting, which may include submarines. Okay, so company crafting. I don't know that I care.
Nope.
Like, it's not like, in theory, when they announced it, I was like, wow, that sounds really good. Something to bring free companies together and, get them. No, it's just the one guy shows up and it's like, hey, there's 3 other people who don't even craft. Can you come stand near me so I'm allowed to do this?
Yep. Yeah, and
That's pretty
my
much it.
free company's really tiny. There's 15 or so of us. It was just a group of people that went from a previous free company. We just kind of splintered off and created our own, and so this type of stuff really just doesn't matter to me.
What
It'll
about you,
matter
Sly?
it'll matter for maybe a week or so when you're actually trying to craft stuff like this, or trying to make changes to the house if you want to, because we are getting new housing. But after that week or two when you're actually doing it, it's not even gonna matter anymore.
Hashtag make Perry great again. Oh, God.
Dude, come on. Those not even new memes, Byrne. Come on now.
I'm just amazed to still see them.
Why? You shouldn't be. Especially with these skip soar memes. Anyway.
Oh, God.
All right. So this one I thought was silly. New mounts for
Yeah.
tanks. New tank achievement mounts.
Like they need any more?
That's exactly. Where's the healer mounts, man?
Can we get job specific mounts for DPS too?
So I can understand why they're specifically targeting one of the 3 roles that they want to encourage people to play, but they did it already. Where's the healer mounts, man? At the very least, where's the healer mounts?
Because
Yeah, I'd be good with healer mounts finally. That'd be nice. More tank mounts. Oh God. And we're gonna talk about tanks later. I'm
Yeah.
sure as we kind of get into things here, but damn, tanks are getting the love.
So
But nobody else is playing tanks. It's just the people that already played tanks, which
they might
I
as
hate
well
that
say
logic.
new
I hate
warrior.
that logic.
New warrior mounts.
Logic.
New warrior. It might as well just be new warrior mount. Might as well not even be new tank mounts. Just be new warrior mounts.
Right.
pretty much.
Speaking of which, do you think this is the solution? Because originally they said the tank mounts were going to fly, and that has yet to happen. Do you think this is their, like, instead of making the old ones, like the bear fly, do you think
Sky
this
bear.
is what they're doing in place of that?
I'd feel really assed out if I was a tank and that was the case, because you need the X number of runs to get the initial mount, and then presumably a higher number of runs to get this new mount. I presume that's the way this is going to work. We don't have those details yet. So I'd kind of feel assed out if it was, yeah, we're going to make your thing fly at some point. Oh, by the way, run 200 more dungeons as your tank, and then we'll give you the flying one. I think that kind of asses you out for the flying. It's a little bit of a bad taste. Ultimately, if you're a tank and you're running that many things, it probably doesn't matter to you, but it certainly doesn't give somebody that maybe might want to play a tank to specifically go for a mount, looking at X100 to get the ground mount and X100 to get the flying mount. That might be more of a turnoff than an incentive in my book.
Yeah, I gotta agree on that one. It seems like more work on top of the work you already did, and it's for
Or haven't done.
or haven't.
Right.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot more work than for the people who've already done it and who've already gotten their their war bears or the panthers or the lions or whatever you get for whichever tank, and if they, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it'll happen, but if they kind of grandfather in the runs that you do to make it count towards the new mount, that would be good.
They probably would if it's
Well,
just
yeah,
a
I would
continuation.
imagine they would. It would just
Unless
be,
it needs
you
to
need
be
600.
unless it needs to be Stormblood instances, because they want people
Oh.
playing. Because so that's actually a big thing with the old tank mounts is most people just go farm Garuda Extreme, which takes 60 seconds. They do it with 8 tanks, they beat it in 60 seconds, and then they do that however many times they can stomach. That's how it's done now.
Yeah, and I could see them particularly, and I know you guys have already talked about this in previous shows, but I hate the logic of why Samurai is. I agree that Samurai should have been a DPS. I mean, it basically was in Final Fantasy XI, even though there were original stuff to do tanks. I know you guys have talked about that. I've seen the show. I hate the logic applied to why we did not create a tank. So I could definitely see Happy, like what you're saying, if it's Stormblood specific, basically, please don't create a red mage or a samurai. Please keep tanking. We'll give you a mount. Please keep tanking. We'll give you a mount.
Please.
Yeah, right.
All right. Now this next point is going to touch Final Fantasy XI players in a certain way. No grand companies are going to be in Kugane, which makes sense. It's a different continent. They don't follow the same rules we do. But there will be a different kind of organization. Yeah, so Sly, you're not going to know what this is, so I'm going to let Byrne explain what most Final Fantasy XI fans probably thought when they heard this.
I don't know where you're going with this.
The Ten Shoto.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah. Fine.
So,
Good for it.
so Sly, the Ten Shoto was a secret, basically ninja organization. Like in order to unlock it, you had to pick a hidden option that was invisible at the bottom of a text box, so it wasn't obvious you were trying to get in there. You needed an invite from someone who was already in, or to farm it as a drop somewhere. Obviously, they're not going to make you do this, but it was a secret organization as such that messed around with these kind of things.
Okay.
And that's kind of what people are leaning towards in thinking that Kugane has some sort of ninja organization there, or secret organization more so.
Everybody's going to be pressing up and down on dialogue boxes like crazy just to make sure there isn't a blank option.
Because they let us scroll through dialogue options now, right?
Right.
They're gonna like hide a dialogue option in the top left invisibly, and it's like you're gonna have to hover around the screen.
Playing an MMO looking for fucking Easter eggs.
Hey, the Void Arc was a great Easter egg when 3.0 first came out. It was a nice little teaser of what was to come.
Right.
Time to farm those Yagudo necklaces.
Oh, yes.
Going off this, do we think there's we still don't have a grand company in Ishgard? We probably won't get it. If anything, we maybe get it far down the line. Do you think that's going to happen with Kurogane as well, that we actually will get a grand company within Kurogane like later?
So I don't think we're ever going to see a grand company outside of the base 3. I think they're going to use this as a grounds to create something similar to the Scholasticate.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be a storyline that follows along that. I mean, they might mess around with it a little bit in the main story, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this eventually lead into something along the lines of a Scholasticate storyline. You know, just a side quest where like that could be Briarden's thing. He could do this sort of organization going into 4.0. All right, teleport costs. I don't know about. I would start hunting now for Aetheryte tickets. Like, just hunt and then spend your allied seals on Aetheryte tickets, because that's a lot. Listen, people laugh when you're like, "Oh, I don't want to spend the teleport cost. I'll walk." But like, if you teleport everywhere, like if you were to count every play every day and you just teleport, that's a lot of gil that disappears from the game. So
no. We've determined that all the gil that gets circulated in the game
goes to Ash. Yeah. It's got 3 billion now, I think. Something like that. 3 billion gil, something like that. Yeah,
pretty much.
They capped it at like 1K though.
But that's still, man. Like I'm gonna be going. Like I can already think of the things I'm gonna be teleporting around for. Like, oh, I gotta go do my Grand Company turn-ins today. Oh, I gotta go to Ishgard. And
Mike, you are sitting really pretty on gil right now.
Just because, listen, 116 mil is gonna be gone in minutes when the expansion comes out. All right.
I mean, of course it will. But...
I'm not anywhere near there. I'm up. I'm fine, but I'm not anywhere near 100 and whatever million. So I'll take my minions. You can have. I probably would be.
I'll sell you a minion.
A couple of those fucking minions, actually.
Yeah.
I probably would be up there because there were a couple of them that I got sick of farming and way overpaid for. But yeah, I got like 21 million, 22 million, and I'd fluctuate between like 15 and 30 million. Just keep going up and down in there. Teleports don't bother me. I don't glamour or anything, so yes. I don't use gil for
minions are glamour.
A ton of stuff. Yeah, I mean the minions are the most expensive thing I tend to use gil on. My single person house is the medium sized house. I don't have furnishings anywhere except the main room. As soon as you walk in, there's a fucking bed sitting in my house.
You sound like a barista living in New York City is what you sound like.
I don't buy the furnishings. I don't buy the glamour stuff.
Well, at least you have something in there, because you have one more thing than I do in my apartment.
I have nothing. I think I put a lamp in the center and then I left and I haven't gone back since.
Yeah, I don't even touch my apartment. It's just there.
You can go ahead and walk. I'll be teleporting. Thank you very much.
I sell everything, dude. I sell minions or rolls. I don't care. I'm putting money in my pocket. That's all I care about as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, those teleport costs probably won't go above 1,000. I still recommend, especially if you're someone who's like averagely sits on 100 to 500,000 gil, that you should probably start hunting to get Aetheryte tickets at the very least. Couldn't hurt.
Or consider where you're going to move your free spots to.
Definitely move it to like Kagane if that's going to be like wherever the
Oh,
central hub
absolutely.
is.
Absolutely.
I would probably do because you get the one free with the security token.
Hmm.
Do you get another free one from something else? I know you get the reduced.
Collector edition, I think.
No,
Not well. There was the security token. I think there was another.
you also get discounted ones like favored locations, but I think you might only get the one free location.
Are those the silver ones? Instead
Yeah,
of
the silver ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would probably make the main hub there the free one, and then like the place you teleport most back home, the favorite ones. Yeah, there you go. 1 free and 3 reduced. There you go. And then set your return somewhere that you teleport to frequently. You know. So there you go. That's the other free one I was probably thinking of is the return point.
Yep.
Next is limit breaks for the 2 new jobs will be shown in the new benchmark. Samurai will most likely have the Madare Setsugetsuka for its limit break. What the fuck is that? I don't know. Like I was like Zanmato. Like if it's not Zanmato, I don't know what it is. So that's the end of it for me.
Yeah.
From what I can read, Madare Setsugetsuka is a combination of all 3 of the stances they named earlier. It's like a one. I don't know. It's like a super attack that combines the 3, like the moon, the flower, and the other thing.
That's awesome. There's characters with that name in the lodestone.
What, Madare Setsu?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my. Did you know there was a Reddit thread that I'm gonna save it for later, but it's the community. It's gonna be the community highlight, and it's I couldn't do it. In fact, if Blazing is here, he's the one who shared it with me, and I would urge you to share what the community thing is going to be again, because we're going to be going to the lodestone for this one. Anyway, moving on. The next thing we have is Gilgamesh might be returning. in 4.x.
Yay!
Gilgamesh.
Now,
Yeah.
are we thinking Gilgamesh by himself, or like totally separate from Hildebrand? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I don't think we're going to see him and Hildy chilling together again.
God, I hope not.
Why? It was good the first time.
I have not read the Hildy quests since the first patch they were introduced after 2.0.
They got I think you Byrne specifically.
Escape straight out of it and just do it to get whatever the rewards are and the achievements, if any. I don't care.
I think you'd like 3.4s. 3.4 seems like up
I did
your
it.
alley.
I have no idea what the content was, but I did it.
I think if you knew what it was, you would think 3.4 is probably pretty funny.
The
Now,
Hildy stuff just bores me. I appreciated the attempt at injecting humor, but to me it was just like it was almost too 8-year-old cartoony slapstickish humor, and it just kind of fell flat for me, and so I stopped paying attention.
This man does theater, guys. We can't impress him. His tastes are refined.
My palate, it just didn't work on my palate. Yeah, Hildy,
Byrne,
whatever.
But Byrne, did you like the 2.0 Hildy?
I did.
2.1, yeah.
The 2.1, like the first, and I told we did a big review of that. Initially, I was okay. I was concerned with how it was going to be introduced, and then the 2.1 stuff. I think both of us back on XIV Reborn Happy, we both reviewed it pretty highly. I think,
Yeah.
including just the Hildy stuff itself. But from there, it just started going straight downhill for me to the point that I just started ignoring it and escaping out of the cutscenes.
So, to kind of touch on, let's push Hildy off to the side for a second.
Okay.
Do you think we'll get a Gilgamesh trial in 4.0?
Not in 4.0.
Not right in 4.0. 4.x, I think, is what he means, more specifically.
Yeah, just the entire.
Yeah,
entire-
all 4.x.
Yes, I think
Okay.
we will.
I don't know that there's much a need to do another Gilgamesh trial, so much as just have him be a character we interact with. Because, like, they kind of already covered what Gilgamesh is known best for. You know, you fight him, he runs. You fight him, he runs. He gets a little stronger every time, but he's ultimately kind of, like, on your side-ish, but at the same time not, like, really. But, I feel like they captured everything I expect from Gilgamesh already, and just seeing him again would be a pleasure, but not something I feel like I don't need to fight him again.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a trial, though, because look at where the trials are placed right now, the ones that do exist that we played through when it was relevant content. That's not exactly the easiest stuff to get groups for somebody that's just joining the game and leveling up through. And so I think there is a certain incentive to put a character like Gilgamesh front and center in a new, different type of trial that all of your new players are going to dive into, whether or not they were around for the previous ones. I mean, there are people that I've friend requested that have played the game and stuff that don't even know those are trials in the game and are already past it, level and content wise. That's how little underutilized that those trials are now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a new Gilgi trial, and I'd go. I'd love it.
Take it a step further.
Maybe like something different, like you and him are working together against some big baddie or something. Mix it up all you want. That's fine. But yes, we're going to see some type of Gilgamesh-esque trial. I would absolutely think so.
Take it a step further. Would you, and this is for everybody in chat too, watching, would you actually like to see a Gilgamesh Savage trial as well?
Something that's like hyper difficult with Gilgamesh.
Yeah, extreme. Yeah, let's call it extreme.
Will it be something they make 2 difficulties for?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Again, just my gut feeling, the character's so iconic that I think it's more relegated to something story-esque that just you go through, experience it, and that's it. There's so much other content that if you're looking for difficulty, there's enough places for you to find it. Without having to create duplicates of every single thing you put out into the game.
Gotcha.
I'd like to propose a theory.
Okay.
The raid is the interdimensional rift.
Yeah, I mean, you can put anything you want in there.
Well, Gilgamesh, that's his origin.
Yeah.
That is his origin. Like how he was introduced is him eventually towards the end of Final Fantasy V being pulled into the interdimensional rift and then sacrificing himself. So I'm just saying. On top of that,
So
I would like to.
You think this might be the end of Greg? Is what you're saying?
I think they could potentially send him off, but I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up in the interdimensional rift and he's just like, hey, remember me? Because that's what he does when you run into him. He's like, hey, what's going on?
The danger there this is just my own gut reaction to your theory with no ability to sit aside for an hour and think about this. I think if you do that, it has to be the send-off. It has to be the kill him. Otherwise, you've kind of relegated your raid content now to almost side story stature. With that.
Let's be honest, Alexander did that.
Well,
yeah, pretty much.
No, I disagree with you. I disagree with you there. It was side story in that it was off to the side of the main story. I get you. I get what you're saying there, but you weren't talking about iconic characters that appear in a bunch of Final Fantasy games that are really, let's face it, at this point they're for fan favorite type stuff and fan stroking type stuff, not anything revolutionary. And I think if you put it in a raid, you kind of almost make the raid kind of laughy, jokey, ha ha ha, we got to go see Gilga. If you kill him off, fine. If he does what Gilgamesh does, then I think it kind of just gives me a bit of a down note for the raid. And that's just my personal feeling for it. It kind of feels like wasted time in the raid. I knew going in I probably wasn't going to kill this boss. And guess what? I didn't kill this boss. I don't know.
Kill Greg.
The Byrne fans, like, we're all about the fan service.
Oh, I don't disagree. Just put it in its own different thing, not in the raid. I don't like the theory, Happy. I don't like it.
That's fine. You don't have to like it. Would you just? I thought you threw something for real.
Yeah, I thought I threw a pencil for a second.
Yeah. There was one other. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as much as this is supposed to be a Final Fantasy 12 centric thing with the 12th Legion going into the story, I can't help but notice they brought up Gilgamesh. They have the interdimensional rift. They said we'll be going back to the Isle of Val, which involves the Baldessians, Galuf and Kryl both. I can't help but notice, and also the way that the Isle of Val disappeared is very akin to the way X-Death removed it in Final Fantasy. I just can't help but notice all of these things are emerging as a pattern here. So, but I'm more excited for the Final Fantasy 12 aspects. Like, I'm more excited for Return to Ivalice, personally.
Yes.
So that covers the Dengeki interview. Now we have the Famitsu interview summary. A lot of these are kind of points that there's almost not really much to discuss, so I feel like I just want to go faster. Like, they talk about, we'll find out why Alamigo and Doma actually fell.
Yeah, a lot of these go to, it's in the main story. It's in the main story.
Hashtag do story.
Oh, I mean, the most important one is that there will be Oriental Glamour gear, though. He did not mute his microphone. He didn't make any sound.
Yeah, I didn't
just to be clear.
People on YouTube going, "Oh shit, my speakers."
people on the audio only too just be like, "Why'd it go quiet for a second? What did I miss? Why are they laughing?" Oh man. Shirogane will have apartments. I don't think anyone's that surprised by that. No. What were you making sure it didn't pause? Kingsglaive?
I was making sure Kingsglaive wasn't over and you were staring at just a splash screen.
No, yeah, that's fine. No, you got a little bit of time left on there.
Well, I know. I'm watching pretty badass altercation here with our Ultros buddy.
There you go. Oh yeah, we need Ultros in another trial also. There you go.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
He is also famously known for revenge schemes, and we only fought him once, so he'll be back. I feel it. The new tombstones, which by the way confirms there will be new tombstones. And the raids will be released.
Oh,
I was really worried.
I was also kind of hoping that they'd be called something not tombstones at the very least.
But the tomes, like, when did we get our law tomes in 4.0? We got them immediately.
No, we didn't.
Right?
You mean 3.0? No, we did not. We started. What were the tombstones that we started with anyway? It was law was the weekly cap. I don't remember the other ones. This is like with philosophy and stuff. Like, I don't remember.
Did Law come out at the same time as the raid did?
Yeah, it did. The same exact week that Savage came out was the week that the weekly cap. So it was 4 weeks after the expansion came out before we had to start doing weekly caps.
I just think back to when 2.0 launched and we were all calling them tombstones because nobody stopped to pay attention to the spelling.
I'm sorry. We started with ESO. My bad. We started with Law right off the bat, and ESOs were 4 weeks later.
Okay.
That was back when we said Ampador keep.
Yeah, Ampador. Instead of Amdapor, it was Ampador.
Ampador keep.
That wasn't the only one. There was another one that I was really bad with. I can't remember which one it was. Ampador was the worst.
There are multiple XIV Reborn episodes where I'm like, it's Amdapor. Amdapor happy.
Oh, the other big one was Tombstones, because Tombstones.
That's what I just said. We said Tombstones.
Yeah, Tombstones and Ampador.
Philosophy.
Yeah, there you go. I feel like there might have been one more still, but Ampador. Good old. I mean, Ampador. Ampador's
keep.
There you go. There we go. Let's see here. Red Mage will share gear with casters. Main stat will be intelligence. That I'm still wonder why. Like when they first announced Red Mage, they just said we won't comment on the main stat. Like, what was
Who didn't see this coming?
But who didn't? But that's what I'm saying. Why did they keep this a secret and then like have to say it later? It's like everyone was starting to be like, "Oh, is it going to be strength because of the melee?" And I'm like, "No, it's not. No. It's not going to be strength. It's going to be strength and intelligence. Nope, that's not going to be that at all. It's just
it was intelligence.
It's going to be dexterity because of the rape. Nope, that's not how magic works, my friend. They could change it. They won't." In a nutshell. And then the last thing from the Famitsu one is they briefly describe Samurai's Sen system, which is the core of its combat. It's similar to monk stances. And when we say monk stances, to be clear, I feel like this has not been said enough. We're not talking about Fist of Fire and Earth and Wind. We're talking about Oppo, Coral, and Raptor stances. But it'll be completely different from Ninja Mudras. That makes me think that it's going to be... how do I describe? It's going to be like you can do them in any order, kind of like, just whatever, but the order in which you execute them change. It sounds a lot like Mudras when you say it like that, but like as a
Without
global
the rabbit?
like as a global cooldown. Like if you do these 2 skills first, then your finishing skill has this effect, kind of deal.
So mudras without the rabbit. You fuck up.
But not mudras, because it's like you bounce between the stances like you do with monk, because when you use an ability it puts you in the next stance, but then you're not restricted. It's not like with monk where you have to use the Oppo stance and then you have to use the raptor and then you have to use the coerl. Like imagine if you could go from Oppo to coerl to raptor back to coerl back to Oppo. Like imagine that. Like it's just the order, whatever skill you use gains an effect from the last one and then puts you in the next one. I don't know. I'm just, guys, anything? Any commentary?
Nope.
No speculation?
Nope.
Nothing.
Byrne likes to work with intelligence, not with
Speculation.
crackpot theories.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
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 No,
That night. Oh, samurai. That's the other class they're adding. I totally forgot because red mage. So who cares?
Oh, you.
Well, I do sort of.
Have fun.
He doesn't care if you care. He doesn't care if I care, you care. Who cares?
Hey, I get my red mage back. I'm just hopeful that I know it was going to be very different if they implemented it. I knew it had to be based on the game. We've talked about this since 2.0 launched. I just hope I enjoy it. I just want to enjoy it. It doesn't have to be.
You should be ecstatic because you're already a caster DPS and you're just moving to another caster. Everyone else is like, I'm a tank. Fuck that. A red mage.
Who cares about red mage? Wow. Okay. Well, let me go ahead and just block that one. All right. Perfect.
No, not mute. He's gonna abuse his mod powers.
I didn't.
And
it was
permanently
tempting.
I forget animation lock and die from jumping in.
I could see it happening, but I just hope I enjoy it. That's all.
That's all.
I've been waiting for Red Mage. I knew it was going to be different. Let's see how different, and let's see if I enjoy it.
All right. So now we're going to move over into the Game Watch interviews. And this one's done more formal Q&A style. So we actually have a question and a response to analyze. So I'll probably have to do a little bit differently. And the first thing it starts off with is talking about Samurai and Red Mage being 2 DPS. This was something we touched on.
We haven't talked about this before.
As if we haven't talked about hashtag 2 DPS, along with my hashtag 2 monks. Knew it wasn't Dancer. Anyway, moving on. They really don't even really answer the question. It's not even really about Samurai and Red Mage. It's more about the combat system.
Right.
Like, about role shared actions. And this is
so skirted in the answer. It's not even funny.
all of the DPS jobs up till now have some kind of support skill in their arsenal. Is that not the case for Samurai? And he goes, well, with the combat system, we'll be removing additional skills and introduce a new system called role shared actions. Like, I didn't ask that. I asked if Samurai is going to have support skills or not. Not limiting the question to only Samurai. Other DPS support actions maybe also be looked into. But I want to know about Samurai.
Classic
That's
misdirection.
what I'm asking about Samurai. Like I understand that it's a cross-role system.
It's almost worded like it's, hey, all the DPS jobs up until now had some kind of a support skill in their arsenal. Why doesn't Samurai? And the answer is almost like, don't worry about Samurai. To fix this, we're going to take away the support skills from everybody else.
And put them in the role shared actions. Yeah.
Then they'll all be on the same plane. So don't worry about Samurai. That's almost the feel you get from the answer here.
Yeah.
Not limiting the question to Samurai, other DPS support actions will also be looked into. I mean, that's the way it's answered.
And we get to talk about, because we actually got our first piece of information about role shared actions that's going to come out of the Korean live letter. We'll get to that a little bit later. And then the next question is, why 2 DPS? Basically. And once again, he says, when Heavens were launched, there wasn't an increase in tank or healers. People who played tanks just kept playing tanks. People who kept playing healers kept playing healers. So, like, oh, they had 2 DPS because the people who play tanks just keep playing tanks. People who play healers just keep playing healers, How do you feel about that, Byrne?
That was one of those things that when I was watching the live letter live and Yoshi P said that, my immediate response was, like, just gut reaction was, that makes sense. And then 30 seconds later, my brain went,
No, it doesn't.
that is stupid logic. That is stupid logic. Like, it was one of those PR type answers that if you didn't look into it, they were like, oh yeah, they looked at the analysis. People who are playing tanks continue to play tanks. People who play DPS, they didn't play tanks. So why create a tank? We'll just create more DPS because clearly the tanks are happy. And but then wait a minute. So now that puts even more pressure on existing tanks and healers to stay as tanks and healers and not create. You know why people aren't playing tanks that don't just love tanks in general? It's because it's not very compelling right now. If you enjoyed it when you started, then you stuck with it. If you jump into it after playing a DPS or playing something else, then you're probably not going to stick around. And Dark Knight didn't help. And basing the decision to not do a tank of some type, we could argue samurai or not all day, it doesn't matter, a tank of some type in this patch, based on that logic, I think there's got to be other reasons they made this decision that they're just not being public with, because that's stupid logic. That means you are banking on the fact so queue times don't become even more astronomical. You are banking on the fact that people who are playing tanks will stay tanks, people who are playing healers will stay healers, and continue to keep the queues at the pace they're on, maybe a little bit lower because you got a couple new DPS jobs. You've added more incentive for them to stop playing tanks and healers because you added 2 DPS jobs that people are interested in. Red Mage and Samurai, a lot of people have been waiting for those jobs since their Final Fantasy XI days. And yeah, they're going to be different. They can't be the same. We all know that. But you created more incentive for them to stop, and you didn't create any incentive for people that are in DPS to branch out. This is dumb logic.
Sly.
And God help us if the player base falls, like every MMO does after time, or 2 months after the expansion. You're putting the onus on tanks and healers that are there to stay tanks and healers and please stay playing the game, because our decisions now depend on you being there. And if you're not, our queue times get destroyed. And by the way, now we're going to have 47 fucking DPSs out there all vying for one tank's attention. I hated the logic.
So do you think this is why they're giving they're still
tank balance?
No, not even just the tank balance, but like a future point that we'll talk about in a little while, the adventurer need still, because that'll be like kind of balanced out for tanks.
Let me just say this before we even get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Will that help? No.
No, it's not even going to help. That's the thing.
And I see some people in chat disagreeing with me on the tanks aren't compelling. Tanks can be compelling if you're the type of person that likes tanks to begin with or are open to playing them. What I'm talking about is they aren't particularly compelling for somebody that's never played a tank, never really considered playing a tank because they like DPS, they like healing, and okay, well, I'm going to go check out another job. Let me try a tank. They aren't particularly compelling. And your argument on are they compelling at endgame? Yeah, they can be, but initially, no, they are not. They're boring as shit.
But
For
Byrne,
the
I
first
like Warrior.
30 to 40 levels.
Byrne, I like Warrior. What about Warrior?
People who play Warrior don't even want a tank. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they want to.
They want a fell cleave.
They want a fell cleave. They want a fucking DPS. That's
Like,
yeah.
so you're the tank and I fell cleave.
Yeah.
I've changed all of my buttons to be fell cleave. I'm here to fell cleave.
I will say that I'm having a little bit of fun with Dark Knight. So it's like it's not overly compelling to the point where I want to Dark Knight everything, but at the same time I'm having fun with it. Yay!
I just want to be able to play my black mage and soon to be my red mage without having to depend on the 685 tanks that are here, and God help us if any of them leave.
So the one thing, at least for the first 10 levels, is we have Palace of the Dead. For 50 to 60, we have Palace of the Dead. We will not have that 60 to 70 most likely. That's where the concern lies.
Think about the incentives, Happy. Are there any really good incentives to entice a DPS away from being a DPS if they enjoy their class right now?
The mounts.
No.
No, you know my incentive is? You know my incentive is? You know my incentive
Hundreds of queues to get those mounts. And what, you're going to up my...
Yeah, you just farm
experience a
Garuda.
little bit?
You just farm Garuda. You don't even play tag. You just farm Garuda extra.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what my incentive is? I'm like, shit, I have an hour to play. I can queue in his DPS to my expert roulette, or I can queue in his tank and get it
You
done.
know, the only reason I'm playing Dark Knight is so that I can open my mentor status. That's the only reason I'm playing it.
Good. That's incentive.
Yeah, as soon as it's 60, guess who's going to be sitting on the fucking sidelines forever? My Dark Knight.
Oh man. You know it's a really great incentive for playing tanks? They have this really great unique stat that everyone loves called parry, and I love to experience it.
Oh, you would love to experience it, but you're not going to.
I could play Dragoon though, and just get Keen Flurry, the best tank cooldown tanks don't have.
I
Yeah, because why would you need a tank in 18
It was
put in another Dragoon and somehow somebody get through that?
the logic just sucked. I'm sorry. It just sucked.
I'm just of the thought that you can't say because we introduced a tank and a healer and people kept playing it is not a compelling amount. It's because you're talking about if it just doesn't apply. If they had one expansion prior to this, and maybe this will be the case when like 5.0, 6.0 comes out, whatever. And they go back and they go, well, when we released tank, healer, and DPS as the combination, this was the trend. And then when we released 2 DPS, this was the trend. So based on that, we've made this decision. You know, we know what'll happen if we do 2 DPS again. We know what happens. We'll do 1 of each again. But you can't say like, well, we released a new tank and a healer, and that didn't increase the amount. So we'll just release 2 DPS because it shouldn't decrease the amount on the opposite.
Right, and when you look at Heaven's Word, mathematically, it was a zero-sum game. They released a tank, a healer, and a DPS.
Yeah.
So if you were a tank, there was a 50-50 shot that you were going to, and you didn't want a tank with the Dark Knight, there was a 50-50 shot that you were going to be going from tank to, just as important, healer. And the same thing the other way. If you didn't want to heal with Astrologian, there was a 50-50 shot you were going to be DPS or a tank. There was an even spread of choices if you really wanted to swap out of roles. Here and I knew something, somebody was going to lose a little something here because I wasn't one of those people that thought they were going to put 3 classes in Stormblood. I never, or 3 jobs. I never thought they were going to put 3 jobs in the game for this expansion. I always thought 2 was going to be the number for this one. And I'm sure you guys have talked episodes on why that makes logical sense to have predicted. But so I figured, okay, if they create a tank and a DPS, maybe we'll have a little healer burn. If they create a healer and a DPS, we'll have a little bit of tank burn. But those healer DPS, now you've created 2 new roles. You're banking on steady tank and healer populations, and you're hoping that you haven't enticed them out of those roles now into 2 brand new DPS roles. And the logic makes no sense.
I guarantee you when we get the skill preview video, they're going to, the tanks and the healers, they're going to show the most extravagant fucking crazy animations to try and get the people excited for them.
I mean, this goes back to something we talked about years ago, Happy. You and I was the 4-person party is not ideal for the long-term health of the game, given the DPS tank healer Trinity build. That a 5-person party, whether it's a 3rd DPS or we speculated in years past about possibly creating hybrid roles, which we discarded, a 5-party system works a lot better for the longevity of the game. Yeah. Particularly when you spend an expansion doing nothing but...
We actually, Sly and I had a discussion about whether or not they'd go up to 5, 10, 25 as the... Well, not 5, 10, 25. It had to be 5, 10, 30 with the way it's set up.
Right.
So, and we landed on, of course, no. But, yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Samurai and Red Mage may hold no interest for tanks and healers in the long run. And that's fine. The 700 tanks that are out there may drop to 500 for a month or 2 and then shift back to about 700. Okay, fine. That may be the case. But you've made it more likely now that it won't be the case. That's all. That's my long-term concern.
Yeah, it's really that's really all it comes down to. And to be clear, we're not saying that if they release a new tank that people who don't play tank would want to play tank. It's more about the current tanks continuing to play their tanks when the flashy new stuff isn't tank or healer. Mm-hmm. Which is, I know plenty of people who have said, who are tanks, I've played with them, I've played with tanks, healers, they're like, if they ever do Red Mage, Samurai, I don't give a fuck what it is, I'm playing it. And let's be honest, these are probably the same people that say, if they add Blitzball to this game, I will never stop playing it. So I take nothing they say.
I don't know if we're going to talk about Blitzball, but that one's risky. That one is risky.
I know. Yeah, we shouldn't, please.
That's going to be really risky to
Just
do. I think if you are we going to talk about, is that in the notes at all?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
God,
Nope.
no.
Nope.
All right.
No.
Nope. No
I think if
blitzball.
I think if you put blitzball in the game the way it was in Final Fantasy X, people aren't going to play it very long. And if you make it too different so that people
Hey,
will
Yoshi
play
P said this exact same thing.
did he really?
Yeah, word for word what you're saying.
Where?
Not in these notes. It was in an interview back at I think it was just after the Japanese.
I think it's
festival.
see, look at that. Damn, I'm good. I just think it's a risky move.
Damn, I'm good.
It's a fucking risky move.
The next couple of questions are about some of the characters, Gosetsu, Yugiri, Raubon, just talking about like the art and who these characters are. And it's basically you'll find out why they're involved and that there's a bunch of new characters to get to know as well. Some more questions about the background, any countries, the Doma, except for Hingashi, the Asm Steppes and authored. Let's see. What else do we have here? They talk about the world map, which was fantastic to see a fully extended world map and not just our little corner in Africa, which is what Eorzea is. That's what Eorzea is. It's Africa.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing.
I don't know. I still look at that map and I go, oh, it's so good to see a much bigger map and not feel like we're just boxed into this one piece of reality. It's almost like Eorzea felt like Hill Valley, pretty much, at this point. And now I don't know. It doesn't anymore. We don't have a DeLorean though. So. Maybe one expansion when we time travel, Sid will make a DeLorean.
Use Alexander, right? Oh yeah, we fucked.
We can't use Alexander as our
We fucked that
DeLorean.
up.
That's done. We could just summon him again, no problem. We'll get them to do it. They even ask about the Final Fantasy XI classics of Genbu, Byaku, Seiryu, and either Ho or
I
Suzaku.
thought this was an awesome question, but the usual.
I'll leave it to your imagination.
Yeah, the usual.
I'll leave you to my imagination.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that means.
I hope to God that we do see him in 4.0.
I mean, I want to see it, but it's like I don't know how necessary it is for us to get these four in particular.
I feel like people,
especially because all the Final Fantasy XI fanboys are like, but we have Kieran as a mount, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of requested because of Far Eastern origins and him being the new kind of warring triad would fit from a. I mean, it wouldn't fit from a lore standpoint. It just fits because of location, and some part of me thinks that's a bad way to look at it in terms of putting these primals or gods into the game. I would love to see him. I really would, but just don't shoehorn him in just because it's the Far East.
But the thing is, whatever primals do get added, we have to. I feel like they're gonna, no matter what, they just shoehorn in. The Warring Triad was shoehorned in. They're just like, fuck it. So that's how Final Fantasy games work. You're like, well, we have this thing we put in other Final Fantasy games, so just throw it in here.
Mm-hmm.
That's Final Fantasy logic in a nutshell. It's like, they use chocobos in the other games. Fuck it, we got chocobos in our game.
No, I think chocobos might have been a bit more pertinent and not shoehorned. I don't think they shoehorned chocobos in.
But the thing is, and not every world needs to have them. They just say, well, fuck it, it's Final Fantasy, so it's got chocobos, right?
Oh, for God's sake.
Same with Moogles. Like, it's Final Fantasy. We got Moogles. But in Final Fantasy 15, they're like, yeah, we weren't originally planning on having Moogles. Everyone's like, you better put a fucking Moogle in there. Swear to God, you better put a fucking Moogle in there. And they're like, okay, we'll put a Moogle in. Holy shit, we'll put a Moogle in. All right, that's it. It's done. It's there. Here's proof. Please stop. You're scaring us. That's it. Moving on into Endgame. By the way, Byrne, how did you do in the Creator? Did you do the Creator, Savage?
Savage, no.
No.
Nope.
No, not even 9.
Nope.
More about that life.
Nope.
There's no
Wasn't
minions, to
about
be
it.
fair. So.
True.
Did you do A8 Savage yet for that minion, for Foslet?
Nope.
There you go. That's one of the 3. You
That's
good.
one of the ones I don't have.
Someone's asking me why I'm playing with the Joy-Con.
Every time I look at it, I'm like...
Whenever I'm talking... It's not the Joy-Con. I'm playing with the shitty thing that goes on the Joy-Con when you use it. like as a standalone, which fuck that, because those things are shit. But anyway, moving on. They talk about the difficulty, pretty much how it's going to be the same. We're keeping the normal Savage formula, which I don't know. Some people are okay. Some people not big fans because a lot of people want to go back to Coil. I don't know how you feel about the Coil system versus this Byrne.
No, I'm fine with the normal Savage. I like the idea from a player's perspective of I don't have to be super top tier to experience all of the content. But if I want that more difficult challenge, it is also available to me. And he does go on to address the main concern here too, which is, of course, with that, the normal and Savage formula is the loot, right? We're adding 2 new DPS drops, which changes the loot table. So they're talking about ways to kind of fix that as well, which needs to, but I'm fine with normal and Savage. The way that Coil, I would not want to go back to it. Leave it. If those are my only 2 options, they pick the better one in my book.
As someone who plays a lot of MMOs, I'm not too surprised. Like I play a lot, play a lot, you play a lot, yeah. So the big thing here is adding a fight in the odd-numbered patches only available to those who cleared Savage. Like the super no bitching and moaning if it's too hard fight.
Thank God.
Now it's one. Now we have nothing to conclude it is only a single fight, but other translations have implied that his wording can be interpreted in a lot of different ways when it's brought over to English. And one of them implies it is a single thing. He doesn't say things. He says something. But that could just be a content structure. So it's impossible to say for certain. But let's assume it's one fight. Let's just assume. Make an ass out of you and me.
I hate it.
Why do you hate it? You don't even do Savage. What does it matter?
Right, which is so I am being blocked from
you son of a bitch,
some type of content piece simply because I either personally didn't want to or could not get a group for or could not get a group that was skilled enough to take on a harder version of something I've already beaten in the normal version. I don't like that.
But isn't that the story of Raid altogether anyway?
Now, if it's something, how about this though, Sly? If it's something that I can go into and I'm just never going to win because my group and I are not good enough, different story. Physically blocking me from being able to go in, I don't like.
That's almost, to me, it's like a skill check. Like if you couldn't beat Savage, there's probably no reason. You probably wouldn't have touched this in the first place.
Right. And that's
I'm not saying I have to be granted the ability to beat it. I'm not asking for the game.
You just want to
go in.
That's all you want.
Yes, I don't like in any game, Final Fantasy XIV or anything else, I don't like the idea of unnecessarily gating content like that. That's the only thing I don't like.
But I honestly don't see it as a gate.
If it's gated by difficulty to the point where I can't beat it or can't get a group enough to beat it or I'm never going to see the loot from it or whatever, that's fine. Let me go in there and play it, though. That's what we're all there to do. And if I can't beat it, I can't fucking beat it. You know, I'm not the one whining about make it easier because I need my drops now and this game, I pay for this game. And no, you don't have to make it all insanely casual to the point that it's trivial or that anybody can beat it. But at least let me take on the challenge. And yes, I get the idea that you're talking about where if the way the raids work, you have got to beat one Savage to go to the next, to go to the next, to go to the next. So I can't get to number 4 without clearing number 1 on Savage. You're correct, and I would give you a thumbs up, Sly. You're absolutely right. But there's the normal versions of those ones that I can play through the story, get to experience all 4 of those. The only incentive for me to do Savage is the difficulty and the gear. I'm not playing it to experience the content per se.
Okay, so you're saying that if this fight was there and in order to do the Savage version, you need to beat A4 Savage, but there was still a normal mode.
Absolutely.
If they okay. All right.
Totally
so
fine.
It's like you just want to be able to fight the boss.
I just want to be able to fight it, whether or not I can beat it.
So you just wish it was wish it was 2-tiered, like the rest of the raid structure, as opposed to it being 1-tiered.
Yes.
Like
don't hide it behind Savage and Savage only, so that only the top one. I think it's stupid and money-wise stupid to create any piece of content that is eventually going to be gated to the 1 to 5% of your player base that actually makes it to that point.
Okay. But I have to disagree with you in the point that at the same time you say that, but at the same time, You just said you don't give a fuck about Savage. Why would you give a fuck about that?
Well, it's the boss he
I'd care a
cares
lot
about.
more about Savage if there was no normal.
If you had no choice, like Coil, like
If you had no
Coil,
choice,
yeah.
Yeah,
Savage,
I
okay,
would care
yeah,
a lot more about that if there was no normal. Yeah.
I mean, because I just don't see people just saying, "Hey, let's just go into this third tier just for the fuck of it," and just fuck around and just say, "Okay, we can't do this anymore." You knew you probably couldn't do it.
Yeah, you just wish it was 2-tiered and consistent like the rest of the raid structure, pretty much.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the way they're again, we could be totally off anyway, right? Translation.
Yeah.
On this
Right.
one are varying, to say the least. But to have one specific fight that only appears to the people that have beaten the 4 savages of something before that, God, you've taken a niche audience and made it even more niche.
More niche.
Yeah.
At that point, why'd you spend the money to do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Because we asked for it.
Yeah,
We asked for Gordius also.
Yeah.
You know, if there was no normal, Savage would be more important. But and to me,
And the thing is a lot of, like I said, I made sure to put the assume. We're about to assume
Yeah.
and make an ass out of you and me,
Yep.
which means nothing has just been said is based on any sort of factual statement, and is based on translation and interpretation. Nothing else.
Hammerify. To clarify, I wouldn't be upset if it's a boss I've never seen. It's a boss that I don't have the even remote capability of seeing, whether it's due to my own personal skill, the lack of a sufficient party with the skill to do it. And sorry, you need to look at the broad MMO audience. I play a lot of these fucking things, gang. A lot of them, they're not rolling around in packs of 8, 10, and 15. You know, there's a lot of MMOs, people, and Final Fantasy, just because you have a big free company, that might be great, and this stuff is easy for you to get into. There's a lot of people rolling around with, you know, a guy and his girlfriend, or a guy and his wife, or 3 friends, and I hate the idea of hiding content from them. Maybe in that case, just because they specifically don't know enough people in the game, and God help you trying to get a pug for
It's
Savage.
pretty much the equivalent. I like to say it's the equivalent of Algalon. Algalon from Ulduar. If anyone played, you only did that if you did all the fights on the hard modes, and then
Okay, Byrne, would it be better if you looked at it as a reward instead of just hiding behind difficulty, hiding behind Savage? It's a reward for you completing Savage. Would it be so different?
I don't think it would be, because to me, if they want to do that, then put drops in tier 4 Savage of whatever we're talking about that are impossible to get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That's and make them guaranteed drops if you want. I don't care. Make that your reward there. Don't make content your reward. I just think that's kind of silly to gate content as a reward for the upper couple of percent of people that will get to that while it's relevant. I mean, you're right. Eventually, in chat, some of you are pointing out, well, you'll get there eventually. Yeah, you're right. 2-3 patches down the road, or an expansion down the road, when it's out-leveled and Savage 4.0 means ass because we're in 7.0 now. Yeah. But when the content was relevant to be seen, you took your audience and just funneled them into this chamber. So I don't like the idea.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Casual. Leave the difficulty, and if I can't do it, I can't do it. I don't care. But don't gate me from even being able to see something while it's relevant because I wasn't the top 1% of player base. If you want to reward those players for taking on those challenges and succeeding, there's other ways to do that. Giving them content is, I think, an unnecessary expenditure of resources.
I would still trade this out for more bosses in the raid tier. Personally, I would still like more than, because this is already implying, they said the 4th tier, which implies once again 4 bosses a raid tier. That's, I mean, maybe they're just using the current structure and that's not how it's going to be. I personally would trade one stupid difficult fight that I intend to take on and I intend to defeat, and it will be content that I do see. I would still trade it for something more people will see and will enjoy, which would be a 5th normal mode plus Savage fight plus a longer raid tier in general. That's just me personally, though.
We're also talking about a game that is entirely built on the idea of things being locked anyway.
Yeah.
So no matter what I say, it's just my personal preference. I don't like that idea. If you think about it, everything in this game is locked based on doing something ahead of it. It's not like an open world MMO. Just go do whatever the sandbox you want to do.
We also don't know if it's a new boss. Like, for all we know, it could be if it was a third.
It could be a tank mount. Yeah.
It could, like, if it was Alexander Prime on a third difficulty, and that's it. Would you care as much?
No.
Yeah. That's it. So if it ends up just being like a third difficulty of the final raid boss, then it's again a different story, because you do have then your normal mode for that same exact.
I like chat going back and forth on this. Some of them see where I'm coming from, some of them don't, and I like some of the points being made. Chat, you're awesome. You're really awesome. I like somebody saying an exclusive fight might encourage more people to do Savage. Maybe it might not do a damn thing because it's just another thing I'm not gonna get. I'm not gonna get the loot or get to see that other fight. You're right.
I think it
could go either way.
I think it's highly dependent on the whatever reward structure they put within this extra fight. It could be like Second Coil Savage, where like you just did it, just fucking do it, just to get a title. Did it come with a title?
I loved second. Yes, every single individual fight in Second Coil Savage came with a title.
Okay, so yeah, you just get a title. To me, it's highly dependent on what reward structure they put into it.
Also, now this does bring up a good point. Byrne, how did you feel about the initial...
There's some really good ideas in chat, man.
Some of them are...
Hellgorge says, I'm curious, what if the fourth boss had another phase on this theoretically third difficulty?
Well, that's where I was going, because A8 Savage, that's exactly where I was going, has an additional phase.
I love that idea. I love it.
So you enjoyed the implementation of A8 Savage having...
Yeah. You Savage players that are able to beat it, and it takes on a fourth phase, a fifth phase that I don't get to see because I did it on normal, and the fight ends after that third phase. I love that idea. Sly, that kind of, I think, is the best mix of what you were saying earlier, which is as a reward, this isn't content that I'm being stripped out of. It's an extra phase, an extra challenge, an extra fun little bonus reward. Hey, you made it this far, but Sly, is your team good enough to take on this added portion of it? I love that idea. Because again, the people that are playing on normal, they got their experience, they got their beat, they got their story mode. If they want to try Savage, what's waiting for you? Not only a more difficult version, but they added a fifth phase that his head blows up and does extra stuff.
And he grows wings and bullshit.
I love that idea. Yeah.
All right. I think we've beaten this topic to death at this point.
Rikeron, how is that different, though? That's still content you didn't get to see. No, I saw that boss. I beat that boss. I watched the story. I didn't see some animations that boss has in its palette because they didn't use them. There's a difference for me.
Okay, there you go. All right, we have now beaten this topic to death.
Pretty much.
And I was like, okay, we only got one more question left on the Game Watch one. And then, okay, here we go.
Chat, you're awesome.
There we go. All right. And I guess the next question doesn't really help the Byrne's involvement. There was no talk about PvP content in the opening keynote. Will the PvP content for Stormblood that you talked about not be implemented in the 4.x series? They said that it would have been so time consuming to explain what they're doing. They just literally couldn't. So because of the scale of it, it most likely will not be released in 4.0, but at a later time, and they will talk about it sometime before the release of the expansion. Now, Byrne, have you done any PvP with the Garo event? But there's mounts.
No.
It's kind of high effort to get those mounts for some
and I don't collect mounts. I
collect. But there are new minions now. There's new feast minions now.
Yeah, good for them.
Honestly, Byrne, I've seen people kill trading to get these minions because the way it's done, they'll like set up parties and they'll just take turns killing each other till they get the fucking minions.
Sorry, I have much better things to do with my life than to swap PvP kills in Final Fantasy XV.
Yeah, I haven't done it either. I've done the PvP. I've done the Gyro stuff. Not all of it, but I've done some of it. Restructure of the PvP is a kind of something that Byrne and I have been going on since XIV Nation. Sly, you are someone who also has some mixed feelings about when they do PvP update stuff. How do you feel about it being so large in scale that they couldn't even make the time to bring it up?
I'm fine with it.
You're fine?
I'm fine. Like, really, right now, in terms of PvP, I couldn't just give any fucks about it because I've already got my Garo shit. We got a new map. Yay. It's actually a pretty damn good map. Makes things a lot interesting, but when it rolls out, it'll roll out for me.
You're not going to look forward to it. You're just going to, you'll look forward to it, but you won't be like, yeah.
I look forward to it, but I'm not, oh my God, we're getting this fucking new PvP. No, I'm not like that. No.
Not about that life. I thought you said you weren't going to read.
I'm looking at cards.
That's a fucking technicality and you know it. That's a fucking technicality and you know it. But Byrne.
Yeah.
Is my cat scratching my door? I think he is. I hear. I think he wants the PvP more than fucking Byrne does.
I know, right?
He's like, PvP, let me in.
That is a badass cat.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they think they'll do because they said that it's like all PvP aspects, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the Korean interview stuff because in the Korean interviews, of course, esports, that's the culture.
And then again, it's not even gonna fucking matter until we get our words back. Just saying.
Yeah, when we can't do shit without. You know what was so funny? Frosty this last Saturday for Mog Talk did a PvP show, and I was like, "How did you do a PvP show if no one's allowed to talk?"
Damn it.
And I was like, imagine if the show went live and it was just them using the macros to do the whole show. Shout out to Mog. Shout out to Mog Talk. All right. Okay, and that covers all of the Japanese interviews. We're done talking about PvP. Stop playing with your cards.
Look, it's our buddy. We talked about him. Gilgamesh.
There you go. He's got 8,000 hit points, or whatever the fuck that means.
And he's foil.
And he is foil. He is indeed foil. All right. On that
I'm just
note,
going to set this here because I do know the PvP comes up later. But I actually have thoughts on the PvP segment for later.
Okay. All right, good. So moving on is the next thing. This was a surprise to a lot of people, only because it's Korean live letter. So let's be clear. The Korean servers are not the same as our global servers. They are on patch 3.2 currently, with 3.3 the next thing to be implemented. However, there are people there already asking about the expansion questions about it. And so some of the things that we're going to talk about next come from those people who are asking questions in the crowd. We have the bullet points that Starlight, the person who posted the Reddit thread, went ahead and translated. So shout out to them. And we're going to, again, same deal, go through those one by one and discuss anything that actually needs discussing. We good? All right. So first bullet point, skills that don't see much use are being removed. We knew this. Either of you guys, so Byrne, you have a wish list for that on Black Mage?
No.
No?
No. I still use it occasionally. I mean,
What's it?
Thunder.
Well, good, because we'll be tackling Thunder here in a few seconds.
Yeah, it's a nice little pop when you're in between some things.
You just got to be careful. Can't lose that Enochian.
I really don't have a wish list as far as it. I'm interested to see where this goes, particularly with Black Mage. I mean, some of those things, like Scathe, I mean, that got taken off the hotbar as soon as Heaven's Word came out, so I can see where they're going with some of this, but none of them are like, oh my god, get rid of this for me.
Sly, what about you for Dragoon? I don't care if you use it in PvP. Fucking tell me the skill.
Faint.
Faint? Do you think they'll consolidate the Fang and Claw and the other thing into one button that dynamically changes? Because some people think they're going that way with Warrior, where like if you're in Defiance, it does this. If you're in that, you know.
And I don't think
because that's two hotbar spaces that fucking literally serve the same purpose. It's just random which side of the boss you'll be on.
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned this last week, but we had people talk about this, and people said that, well, if you relegate one combo to one button, it'll become boring.
I don't think they'll do that. I think specifically the proc from being in Blood of the Dragon for the 4th skill.
But it's almost the same.
But that's the problem. It's two slots for something that's the same, but just literally which side of the boss you have to stand on.
You can say that.
That's one button to get rid of.
It's one button to get rid of. With a combo, it's 2 buttons to get rid of. I mean, yeah, it's the same thing. I'm fine with it. Like, you kind of get used to it. People say it makes it interesting. No, the fuck it doesn't. It's fucking annoying as shit.
It's like, all right, which one is it?
Which one is it?
Especially when it's on like Nidhogg and like you have to stand right between the two because his hitbox is fucking huge. So you can't be like on the flank. You gotta be like on the very edge of the flank, and then you gotta be ready to move off to the side.
Yeah, from that standpoint, from both a combo standpoint and just removing one button, just making it a 1-button press, like, I don't see why people say, well, it would be fucking boring if you just press one button.
It's boring now.
It's boring now. It's boring now, even with the extra button. It's boring for tanks to do 1, 2, 3, 1, so on and so forth. It's fucking boring as shit, but we still do it. Putting it to one button, it's really not going to make a difference. It's still the same.
It's still the same rhythm ultimately.
It's still the same cadence. Like, so it doesn't really make any difference for me. I don't give a fuck.
Do it, don't do it, who cares? Well, what about this next one? Because this next one has sparked a lot of debate amongst. So this is our first look at something
among all 700 tanks.
So they're all warriors. Anyway, moving on. So this is our first look at the cross roll system, and it's not even a skill that was in the cross class system before that we're talking about here. So they said that Paladin's Rampart and Dark Knight Shadowskin are becoming the same skill and will be a cross roll skill for tanks. I'm gonna before I even take this as at face value, I would like to point out that Warrior does not have a skill currently that is like those. Foresight is not a skill that is like those. Which would mean in the first thing we've heard about them doing with tanks is a Warrior buff. That's the first thing I've seen as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Foresight is a skill?
Hey, Foresight's 8% physical mitigation right now. It'll probably go up to like 11 to 12% if it's still around in the expansion.
Okay.
I'm just saying, Foresight, maybe they just get rid of Foresight because this is consistently better. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the plan is there, but we'll see. So that opens up for me. I don't even care so much that we talk about the combining of Rampart and Shadowskin because I think it's weird. First of all, isn't Shadowskin better than Rampart because it has a trait that makes it 10% stronger? Isn't it 10% at base and then 20% with the trait?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a nerf to Dark Knight. Unless they make it 20% flat for both of them. Who knows? And then Warrior gets another 20%.
Warriors.
Does Rampart get a trait that does that too, though? Maybe Rampart gets a trait. I know that one of them. Rampart also gets traded? Okay, I didn't know Rampart also got traded. Okay, there you go. All right.
Warriors are smiling ear to ear, that's for sure.
Yeah, Warriors are smiling ear to ear. Okay. We'll see what happens. Yeah, okay, Rampart gets the trade also. Every time I looked it up, I always found Rampart on trade. They both end up at 20%. Yeah. Okay, there you go. All right, so that covers that. This is not a skill that was in the cross-class system before, though. And now it's being placed in there, which creates a lot of possibilities for other jobs that have the same issue of overlap in their skill sets. I mean, almost every job has some degree of uniqueness, but at the same time, there's a bunch of some minor overlap here. So I don't know, just seeing that, what other skills would they possibly even think of doing this for, throwing them in the cross roll system when they were...
I'm not saying the name of a skill at all, because with this type of a move, it kind of shows me that everything was on the table. Everything was on the table as far as skills to be reduced, skills to be modified, skills to be combined, skills to be added to the roll, the rolls, cross roll skills. Everything was put on the table here. And so I'm not even going to hazard guesses at this one. I'm going to just watch this one roll out over time. And hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised and not flaming Reddit because I'm so angry about some changes.
Buff warriors. Remember. Got to
Buff
rework
warriors.
paladin. Better buff warriors.
Buff warriors.
And nerf Irelia while you're at it. Anyway.
I mean, everybody's going to have their favorite thing that they think, I've played Paladin for so long, these two skills. I've played Black Mage for so long, these two skills. This would be great if they combined this or did this and made this cross-class because my Black Mage could use it, but it's not cross-class now, so I can't use it. So it'd be nice if everybody's got that wish list. But this being the example change they gave us shows they're thinking about all of those too. So what would it be nice for a Black Mage to have, and are there other classes that would like to have that currently don't? I think it shows the depth that they're going to sort this out and find better ways to do it. And I'm interested with the combinations that Yoshi P and team will potentially come up with here.
Sly, as a Dragoon,
Mm-hmm.
would you like Goad as a cross-scroll skill? Because currently Goad is cross-classable, but nothing can cross-class out of Rogue that isn't a class. As a fellow DPS, would you do your fellow melee DPS a favor and Goad him if you were a Dragoon?
From a DPS standpoint or from a personal standpoint?
From a personal standpoint. From a personal standpoint.
From a personal standpoint, I'm a fucking selfish bastard, and I'm asking for that shit every chance I
But
get.
what if you had it and you had the ability to give it to him, and he can give it back, and you could be like Goad brothers, just touching tips all day. Fuck him. Give me Goad. Fuck you. There you go. Listen, Mr. Steak of the Realm, you don't want to call me Big Daddy, all right?
I wasn't talking about your tip.
Well,
Ha 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 ha. It's a big dick joke. Ha ha. Moving on.
moving on. Next one goes back to involving you again, Byrne, because they're going to get rid of Thunder 2 and 3 and just make Thunder scale with level.
And
That's
this
probably
is what I was talking about.
Yeah,
earlier.
that's probably what they should have done anyway. I mean, the only time you're popping it is when the proc happens. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with this.
That's it. I just wonder what that means for because Thunder is kind of unique in that you can do this. Stone and Arrow and like Fire and Blitz, like none of the other ones that scale up like 1, 2, 3 really have the same sort of method. Maybe Stone, but I don't know what they can do to consolidate any of the other ones. Looking at the other jobs, like this is one of those unique cases that only works for Black Mage. I feel. Yep. I wonder. I want to know more. Yoshi P, stop tipping us. Just give us more, please. And then Black Mage, how come he gets to talk about Black Mage the whole fucking time? And
the class that matters. So
you son of a bitch.
Or it's maybe indicative of how broken the class was. I don't know. We're gonna change a bunch of things because Black Mages are awesome, or we're gonna change a bunch of things.
He's a Black Mage main. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, that's why. That's why.
I mean, he's gonna be a Red Mage main. He said it himself. It's his favorite. It's his favorite job in all of Final Fantasy. He's already been drawn as one riding the Phoenix mount. It's a Firebird.
Eyelash in my eye. Oh, ow.
Well, better there than someplace. I don't know, someplace else.
Yeah, I'm fine with the Thunder change. Totally makes sense.
But this next one is I'm definitely gonna say take this one with a grain of salt because again, it comes down to translation and interpretation. Enochian will become a permanent buff, meaning you will.
How is that down the translation? I'm sorry. Enochian is permanent
because
numbers are going through.
Other translations have implied that Fire 4 and Blizzard 4 will not be Enochian exclusive. So he's actually that the translation could mean that the skills that were Enochian exclusive before are now permanent because he does immediately follow, meaning you'll always be able to use Fire 4. Because then it wonders what the fuck is Blizzard 4?
Right, because it's the linchpin for the Enochian refresh right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's the question is that.
So you think chopping block?
No, I don't know because there's fucking Blizzard 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fucking Fire 1, 2, 3, and 4. They can't just do Fire 5 and then Blizzard 5 and then Thunder. They can't even do it and then Burst and then Flare 2 and then Freeze 2. Like you can't just keep doing that. So I guess
Mage is going to be the AoE champ again and get a bunch of Goss spells. Yeah.
And then
That's
Enochian
not going to happen.
Enochian just becomes Fist of Fire at this point. So it's a question of, where is...
And there's people pissed about this potential change. With if Enochian is indeed permanent, a permanent buff. There's people pissed about this. I'm not one of them. I am fairly adept at my Black Mage rotation at this point. I understand why somebody just coming up might not be as adept at it, because it did take a little while to really master it hell, even at this point, there are still certain fights that if I don't time a particular thing right based on movement, I drop my Enochian and I've got, 15 to 20 seconds of burning through a Realm Reborn's rotation waiting for a cooldown. There's concerns that this is going to make the class ridiculously easy, right? As far as the rotation goes. And I can certainly hear those concerns. I understand why they're making this change, though, because it literally created a huge gap between people who knew the rotation and could do it and the people who didn't. It wasn't Sly and I are both Dragoons and he's just slightly better. We're both doing the same rotation, but he's just slightly better at it and he can out DPS me, but we're still both contributing very well. It created a gap where you didn't want to go anywhere with the Black Mage that didn't have that rotation mastered, and that's a pretty big fucking gap. Because they just weren't as useful, and it was apparent to anybody. It wasn't somebody...
Black Mage is just that job anyway. Like, Black Mage is the one job where I go into Cutter's Cry and the guy's spamming Fire 3, and I'm just like...
Yeah, I like some of the things they could do here, right? Where Enochian stays up and you are able to use Fire 4 and Blizz 4, and there's some other combination of just a little extra something where instead of not having my Enochian up puts a 20% difference between the person who does it right and the person who can't quite get it for whatever reason or just isn't good at it. Versus we're both doing the same rotation, but because I'm a master at it, I'm able to weave other things in and buffs in to help boost damage, but we're still viable. I can definitely see the reason for this. I'm not as mad about it as other people are.
But Byrne, if I'm always in ice, then I never run out of MP and my DPS will always be good.
Right. Yeah. And this also doesn't take into account, by the way, any skills that we are going to get from level 60,
it's
70,
it's a completely
which
isolated
could completely change things. Right.
I'm really like, the more they keep talking about the old skills, the more I want to know the new skills. Because like when I think of Dragoon for Sly and I think of what could change it, like that's the next thing. Because luckily I have a Black Mage and a Dragoon on this show, because people are beginning to think Blood of the Dragon's going to follow the same suit, where, I mean, perhaps, like I presented the theory earlier that Fire 4 and Blizzard 4 will be permanent, but managing Enochian, like Enochian is a buff you pop and Blizzard 4 maintains that to keep its purpose out there. Mm-hmm. Blood of the Dragoon is a little bit different because you use your Skogul to expend Blood of the Dragon. It's not like they could just make it a permanent buff and then give your Skogul a cooldown. A longer cooldown.
Or what are you saying that make...
Do you think that Blood of the Dragon will get the Enochian treatment and become a permanent buff with other changes to Jer Skogul?
The only way I could see them changing your Skogul is by removing the 10-second drop in Blood of the Dragon, so that you would do a Gear Skogul. You could permanently do a Gear Skogul and not worry about your Blood of the Dragon timing falling off because it wouldn't lose the 2 seconds.
And then it's just gated by cooldown?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you think they'll do that, though?
If they're going to do this to Enochian, I don't see why not. Like, it's just... This, to me, is just an increase of fucking DPS. That's all.
Because you're already doing it right.
That's all I see with the Enochian is just fucking numbers going up. That's all I see. And if they're going to do this with an Enochian, then I see a whole bunch of other DPS and other jobs getting the same treatment as well, making making it pretty much easy access, like kind of like what Byrne said, for people like I wouldn't say unskilled, but players who have a hard time with the rotation, to kind of close the skill gap between them and the high tier players. So yeah, it totally makes sense that you would do something like this to close the skill gap.
And then, as potentially a monk in the expansion, I began to look at Grease Lightning, which is not a button press to turn that on. That's very different, and I'm wondering where that goes. Maybe we get the PvP durations. Fuck it. It's like 30 fucking seconds of Grease Lightning.
I haven't even really thought about PvP for these implications. They would have, like, there has to be a whole bunch of balance in the PvP if they're going to do this bullshit.
Oh yeah.
We're just talking about the PvE frame, and just increasing DPS in general. When you talk about PvP, shit's going to be horribly unbalanced.
It already is.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It already is.
Oh man,
this makes it even worse.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Because I mean, that's the one thing is they keep talking about having the same amount of skills for the expansion. I'm just like, that doesn't with PvP. That's still too many skills, man. I can't I can't keep having fucking eight extra skills on my hotbar because of PvPing. You're ruining me. And you don't even have your own separate cooldown for it. Or your own separate setup for it. Next thing they talked about are skills that debuff the enemies are not going away but will be adjusted. Specifically, Paladins, Rage of Halone, and Monk's Dragon Kick are mentioned by name. Now, they're not very clear about what aspect of the debuff, because Dragon Kick obviously has the blunt resistance, but it also has the intelligence resistance, and Rage of Halone is strictly a strength resistance. So I don't know where they're going with that, but I mean, at the very least, expect to keep things that... to me, it's almost a dumb comment, because it's like, did anyone really think we weren't going to debuff the enemy at all anymore?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, no one ever suggested Rage of Halone is going to lose the strength reduction. You know what I mean? I've only suggested that, and I want to get your thought on this, Byrne, because Sly, I feel like I'm kind of alone on this one. I think they're going to get rid of blunt, slashing, and piercing, because...
I think they are too.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Fuck that bullshit.
Because Dragon Kick will still have a debuff, even if they get rid of it. So they said that's not... They just are not clear about what parts are not going away.
No.
He's a lot of people are against me in that train of thought because of create. The thing is, you either add the ability for every single job to do these things, and it creates homogenization, or you remove the mechanic entirely, it creates homogenization. So.
Right, which is something goes back to the quote we were talking about earlier with Samurai not having the support skill. Don't worry about Samurai. Look at the bigger picture. We're going to take them away from everybody. So I agree with you. Because Yoshi P is very big on that. And as these numbers get bigger and bigger, remember, Wild just recently had to do this not too long ago. When these numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger, percentages get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it starts creating what Yoshi P hates, which is that
gaps.
We would rather have X class or X job than Y job for this particular fight because of this particular mechanic or this particular. And yeah, I agree with you. At some point, they're going away.
Get out of here. Sorry, I scared some people. I hope not. Anyway. Then, concerning raid compositions, he feels that the Astrologian buffs after the Astrologian buffs any combination of healers is currently viable doesn't mean they won't be seeing changes. For tanks, they specifically plan to do something about warrior off tank.
So is this where the balance comes in?
Yeah.
Let's ask anybody in chat that plays Astrologian if you feel that the healer meta is equitable across the board. Let's just see what you guys think.
He didn't say equitable. He said viable. As in, you could clear things with any combination of the healers.
Right. Well, I could go and play a warrior, but I'm not going to. And it doesn't mean I'm viable at it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, they say they still will be seeing changes. He's happy, I guess, or at least he's content with the way that the healer meta has evolved. And let's be completely honest, no matter what they do, one job is always going to get made fun of by the min-maxers. That is the internet and RPGs in a fucking nutshell. So let's be honest about that. but I don't know. The comment wasn't very. And by the way, warrior off tank. That is not where all the problems are. Like,
No, not at all.
the problem is warrior can do either or, and it's just better than everything else.
Yep.
You know how many groups still do warrior pull with Unchained, and then as soon as Unchained falls off, the off tank provokes off because it's more enmity than just starting with the off tank, and that way they don't have to worry about especially groups without ninjas. Like, it's because they could do anything. They're just better at fucking everything. They're the best tank healer support, DPS, ranged, McCaster, melee, fucking Tom Cruise, whatever. I don't know.
They get the adventurer need bonus regardless.
Yeah,
exactly.
War can just do whatever it wants. But the good news is that in 4.0, that those warriors and those healers, man, they have the adventure and need bonus getting buffed. So now is this going to be more Gil tomestones?
I like that they had the balls to specifically say to encourage
because they know
players to play tanks and healers.
Hey, listen, when 3.0 first came out, I got a few adventure and need for DPS. I got a few. Because
I'm sorry,
new,
I have never looked. I have
because they were new tanks and
looked
healers.
at the roulette and seen, oh, adventure and need tank. You know, I really should roll a tank. Just look at
what
the
what if it gave you a minion? They do it once.
Roll that bitch. Roll it up.
Sly, how do you feel about? Because you actually just leveled your tanks and your healers not too long ago. Was there at any point were you like, yeah, I'm in the adventure in need?
I mean, leveling wise, it was great. My main thing was fucking queues. I mean, if I got an adventure in need, sure. Like,
what is it? What is it now?
Wait, nobody's rolling their class specifically for the adventure in need.
Oh no, that wouldn't.
Which is the implication.
I'm in it for myself.
I was just there because I was just leveling that certain class. Like,
right.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna, do my dailies and say, oh, there's an adventure in need. Let me roll this. No, fuck that. I'm probably gonna still go DPS anyway because fuck everything. Yeah, like, I think it's necessary for this to happen because of the whole samurai thing, samurai red.
They need something in the tank.
They need something.
But what would you need, Sly, to look at the adventure and need bonus and go, holy shit, I'm queuing in as a tank today?
I know what my answer is. Right
Minions.
Away. No. All right, go ahead, Sly.
What could tempt me to just say fuck it?
Say whatever. I don't care what it is. Just say it.
Besides bonus tomes?
That's it. Right there.
That's the only thing I can think of. Bonus tomes.
Yep.
So how many bonus tomes? We're looking at the current structure now.
It would have to be a fuck ton of, it would have to be a fuck lot to just get me to just switch over from DPS to tank or healer. Like, it would double, maybe. Double sounds good. Sounds like a good start.
Double, so
they're never gonna do that. I would.
Yeah, I mean,
because then because you know what happens. The problem is then the tanks and the healers are done with their expert roulettes 3 days into the week, and they say fuck the rest of the week.
It's wishful thinking, but yeah, that's for me. That's what it would take. Anything less, who gives a fuck?
Someone said wolf marks.
I love chat.
Oh my god.
But yeah, more tomes would do it for me. And I have white mage at max level, black mage at max level, and I'm working on Dark Knight just so I can unlock my mentor status. So it's at 53, 54 right now, I think. Not quite there. But yeah, bonus tomes.
I'll do it for about 50,000 gil.
Shit up.
I'll do it for about 50,000 gil.
Nah, screw gil.
Because when every day I do the Moogle Beast Tribes, I'm so excited to get a glass fiber to sell for 50 to 60k. And I say 50 mil. I meant 50k. I think I said 50 mil. Yeah, no, I'll take 50 mil, absolutely. Or 5 ether. You know what? I'll take 5 Aetherite tickets. Fuck that. God. I'll take Aetherite tickets.
Yeah, that's not good enough for me.
Give me Aetherite tickets. Give me 50,000 gil.
Nope.
Give me something, man. I need some sort of gil incentive here.
Tombstones or GTFO.
You're a cheap fucking date, Hap. I'm sorry.
I'm the fucking guy who's got 115 mil here, Sly. All right.
Hey, you're talking about fucking Aetheroid tickets. You're a cheap fucking date. I'm sorry.
How else do you think you get to 115 mil, Sly? You spend intelligently. You invest, and you don't have unnecessary expenditures.
No.
A chest that has, I'll take a chest that drops a fucking ethereal grade item. That's what I'm going into Diadem for anyway, is fucking pink gear. So why the fuck not, I guess. I can't wait for that. Next up we have, the next two things are kind of the same. So, and I'm pissed. I'm really pissed at the second one. So the first one is, in 4.1, they want to make it by then. You could do a pre-made 24-man using the Cross-World Party Finder.
Totally saw coming. It was a question of when.
The problem is there is never going to be a Duty Roulette alliance in order to do it with.
Nope.
This infuriates me that they still don't want to do it. And the reason given pisses me off the more.
Yeah, it infuriates you because of Wondrous Tales. We have Wondrous Tales. Why would you need this? And I half-heartedly agree with this.
Yeah, half-heartedly, because your full heart's not in it.
Yeah, my full heart's not in it. Like, I half-heartedly agree with this. Like, people are going to do this anyway on Wondrous Tales, so why?
Okay, let me describe to you Wondrous Tales in their head versus Wondrous Tales in reality. Let me break this down. It's like, okay, we'll do all these. We'll put all this old content in Wondrous Tales. You don't need to do it with the relic weapon anymore. People will get together and do that. And it's great. That'll fuel the Duty Finder. Now, here's the reality of it. Okay, I'm going to unsync my 1 to 49, unsync my 50. I'll do my expert roulette for the day. Fuck 51 to 59 dungeons. Let's see. Let's get an unsynced group together for the primals. Hold DPS on Leviathan. Hold DPS on Ifrit. Oh my God, we fucking wiped. This shit's stupid when you're unsynced. Okay, that's 7 out of the 9. Now let me shuffle till I get something that's decent. Fuck it, I'm done shuffling. And now it's like, well, now I'll just fill the last 2 whenever I fucking fill them. No one's looking at Wondrous Tales and be like, you know what? Crystal Tower's in there. Yeah.
And we're not even taking into account that Wondrous Tales, of course, is either going to be relegated to meaningless content or evolved into level 70 content to keep it relevant after Stormblood launches. I mean, we haven't even touched the idea of, okay, yeah, a lot of people might be, let's say that their stats are 100% correct and shit, everybody is running these 24-mans right now because of Wondrous Tales, and that's the only reason they're doing it. But man, that's just flooded with people and they're doing it. All right, it's March. You have till June.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think that's a good reason.
No, not at all.
Let's just put it that way. Wondrous Tales is not an excuse. I would have accepted more that they need to overcome the technical issue of the original Labyrinth of the Ancients requiring 6 tanks and all the rest of them being... I would accept that more as a problem, but I still don't accept it. Like, we got to have the technology. Sly, do we have the technology?
We can rebuild it.
We have the technology.
We finally can do our chocobos, like, we can have them out and queue in, like, we have the technology.
Yay! We have the technology, but for your reasons to, want to have this in place, I still have reasons I don't even want to fucking do done scathing.
That does bring the other point to the surface. I do suffer in my 24-man, so I really want a reason to delegate more time to that.
Like, I have reasons. I just don't want to do Doomscathing. I mean, Void Arc and everything below that, maybe.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but Weeping City and Dunscape? Too many wipes.
Well, hell, even Weeping City. Even Weeping City, I'll give Weeping City, 1 point on that one. But, yeah, Dunscape, fuck that shit. No. I ain't got any reason to go back in there. Hell no. Mm-mm. Especially after the treatment you gave it in the last patch. Okay, sure. Yeah.
I can only imagine having to go back to level 50 Labyrinth of the Ancients with a bunch of people that haven't done them in ages, and then doing Bone Dragon. The thing is, Bone Dragon's pretty easy. It was pretty easy at I-130. Still went bad sometimes. The worst was the Atomos trash, where you're just like, get on the fucking platform. We have 6 melees. Get on the fucking platform. Just because you have 6 melees doesn't mean you get to not stand on it.
Yeah.
And then there's also the question of like Alexander normal mode, like roulettes for the normal mode raids as well, because those suffer the same thing that the Crystal Tower 24-mans do.
Yeah.
So I think there's demand for it, and every time we demand something else, they fucking do it. So just fucking do it. Come on. I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna PAX East. I'm gonna walk up to Yoshi people like, yo, how you gonna talk shit about my alliance raids? Come on, dog. That's it.
So that just means you get a chance. You have a chance
To ask him about Peaches.
And when he tells you,
not even about Peaches. You have like if you're gonna do an alliance raid, you have a chance to get Proto Ultimate Trash.
Which, by the way, for everyone who was wondering if it was going to pop up in a different instance every week, it is in Dinscaith again. So quell that. You can go ahead and just say no. It's going to be in Dinscaith every fucking week. All right. And then the rest of the things are kind of like it's difficult to add more chat tabs, which was not something I ever thought I wanted in the game. Weirdly enough. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because they're trying to do cross-roll stuff. So if like they could have one where it's strictly your cross-roll tells or like, I don't know. But you can always do that yourself. You have what, 4 tabs or something, and you can modify them.
Cross-server chat too, which makes me believe that at some point we will finally get cross-server friends listing.
Well, they said they're working on that. They said cross-server link shells, free companies, friends lists, everything. I think they said cross-server tells are the next thing. Down the list, which is really funny going back to like 2.0 where they were like, we don't want you to be able to send tells in instances because people cross server could bully, and that's like, yeah, well, fuck that. So here you go. You probably need to be on someone's friends list. That's the only problem. My friends list is full enough on one server, so please give me like another 800 friend slots so I can do this.
Look forward to it.
Please look forward to it. All right, and then the last thing is requests for tattoos and body hair.
That's been there since launch.
Yeah, but they said that they didn't even say yes. They just said it would be easier if they made them equipable items. Yeah. I just imagine like that's like Michael, like that's how Michael Myers does Austin Powers. He just goes in and just throws chest hair on.
Yes, my hair plate dropped. Awesome.
Imagine going into Alexander Savage and your Alexandrian chest hair drops. I don't think...
Fantastic! My back hair piece! Yes! Fucking A! I love this game! I'm running around naked from now on! Let me glamour that 265 with my back hair! Yes!
I don't think they would make it drop in raids, to be fair. I don't think...
Oh, it'd be awesome if it did, though, wouldn't it? Fuck, man, I've needed a weapon for 3 months now, and I keep getting nothing but chin hawks. God damn it.
I'm waiting for the dragon tattoo on the arm that like comes up. It's like a sleeve, and it comes up over your chest. There you go.
God, that's amazing.
Oh, man. There you go. I like the thought that you want back hair to drop. Like, who has ever said that?
That's right. Screw it. Screw it. I don't care.
Who equips
I don't care
back
if it's high
hair
level
for you? You'd have to have somebody else equip it for you. What are you going to be like?
No, you have somebody else groom it for you.
What, the esthetician?
Right.
Or what?
Yeah, the esthetician's like combing your back hair.
Done. Yeah.
There you go.
Braid that shit. I'm
Imagine
rolling
a braided back hair.
I'm rolling need, bitches.
Oh, we're doomed.
Oh
We're
my
doomed. First Peaches, now back hair.
Here we go.
That's it. Done. Donezo. All right, and that was it for the...
Oh my god, the Happy Trail dropped. I haven't seen that in all these runs yet. Fucking A, need. You play a female. Who cares? Look at that fucking thing. Need. Put it on in the preview pane. Can you just imagine that?
I'd rather not. I'd rather not. Oh, no.
Nice.
Tramp stamp drops. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, please kill me now. Oh, why did I let you on the show today?
For this reason.
For this, so now you have steak. Now we have steak, we have Big Daddy, and we have back hair.
My Makote running around with a tramp stamp that says juicy. Fuck yeah, this game's gonna get awesome.
Please stop.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I have an image.
The ass slider?
No, so somebody drew my character a while back, and it is of me with the golden subligar, and my ass says juicy. And
oh my god.
Yeah, there it is. No, does it say juicy or does it say something else? Yeah, it says juicy. It's on screen for everyone to enjoy right now. It's covering everything. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not on my lower back, but just move it up a little bit.
Pretty close.
And we're good to go. All right. Anyway, moving on. So that wasn't the only thing that come out of the Korean like live letter fan fest. I don't even know what it was that they would call it. Well, yeah, but then there's this, which is like the interview that's like separate from the live letter. And it's literally 3 questions about PvP for Final Fantasy XIV. The first question: the Feast have a lot of healers and melees at the top of the charts who seem to have a higher contribution to winning games. What do you think about adding rankings for each job? Like Palace of the Dead rankings for each job. By the way, I still really like Palace of the Dead's ranking system. Like it's completely for show, but I'm still kind of tempted. I think I'm number 8 on the monk chart. I kind of want to go back and go for number like 1 or 2 or something like that. I like job-based rankings. They said that the problem is people would just pick the jobs that do best for killing with the ranking and just only play those. I've got a newsflash for Yoshi P. The funny thing about player versus player content is that the entire point is to kill the other fucking team. No shit. Like, no, there's capture the flag. And how do you capture it? Protect that person, kill everyone else. And it's like, and it implies that's the only way that they would get contribution, or that would be the highest contribution. So that was the first question. All right, whatever. The second question. Both of your faces are just like. Question number 2. You talked about Final Fantasy XIV moving into esports before. Any updates on that? It's like someone just asked him about content being too hard or too easy. Guys?
What?
Guys?
What's up?
Guys? I want to talk about esports. And at least now I can watch Kingsglaive in peace.
The LCS? You want to talk about the LCS?
The XIV CS. XIV CS, the 14 championship series.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the cigarette. I'm surprised that you smoke in your man cave.
I don't. That's how bad this fucking. I don't smoke in the house at all.
I imagine like 5 minutes from now. Hey, are you smoking in here?
It'll happen. I smoke outside on the deck, but Jesus Christ, esports? Are you fucking kidding me?
That's the quote of the show. Esports? Are you fucking kidding me? All right. Want to know what the most depressing is? The first part of the answer. We're actually in the middle of having discussions with sponsors. We'd like to have an official league, but at the moment we're getting feedback on various problems that might come up while we are preparing for it. Problems such as...
like PvP sucking. I mean, that might be the first problem that you might want to address.
The problems such as needing to go through PvE content to gear up and level up before you start PvPing, having too many skills where the players will get lost and confused, the need of a spectator mode, which we already solved by adding. We'll be solving these 3 problems and preparing it for the new PvP content, which is planned for 4.0. This is the stuff they said was too large scale to talk about in an opening keynote.
Oh, God.
I like the level of contribution I'm getting from you two right now. That's
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Hey, don't get me wrong. Like, Hap, I love PvP, but seriously.
Sly, you're also the person who said that the ranking, that the whole elo system didn't make sense.
For a time, it didn't.
For a time. No, it still doesn't, because somebody who was in Diamond went up against a full bronze team the other day. It's like, well, these people are probably pretty closely matched. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Hey.
So let's tackle each individual thing here. So,
Okay.
needing to go through PvE content and level up to get to PvP.
Definitely a concern.
It's a necessary evil.
It's a necessary evil with the way the game is designed now. But is in almost every game not an actual structure for the way their PvP is done. Final Fantasy XIV is the only game I've ever played where your PvP is limited to going through an entire main story and leveling your characters. And yeah.
Well, hold on. I mean, let's not go that crazy. I mean, World of Warcraft's PvP was on the esports scene for a while, and they're actually trying to get back into it a little bit. And at the time, that had suffered from the same type of problem.
You didn't need to get to max level to PvP though.
No,
that was just the esports
scene.
Get
to max level. But you
to
still
even
had to do
generate
PvP
interest
content.
in it. Yeah, but that's entirely different from not having any PvP content prior to max level and expecting people to play your game with the anticipation of competing in any sort of meaningful PvP.
So, Hap, what
give us PvP that's not level fucking max level. Give us, and I don't mean Slaughter and Secure, which are individual modes. Every mode available across several level ranges. And yes, there's always a problem. Or upscale people. Take people who are low level and allow them to upscale.
My thing is, if you, let me just grab what you're saying. You're saying that, you want different levels of PvP. How many, we'll have a 60, we'll have a 50, say that. How many more levels underneath 50 would you want?
With the level cap going to 70...
There's also a lot of games that require you to get to pretty substantial points before you even get to PvP. Maybe it's not end game in all of them, but this part isn't...
To be a part of the esports
I'm not as surprised by this as you are. I mean, Blade and Soul has... a pretty active. I mean, they do tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, and you know what level I started queuing into PvP in Blade and Soul? 18. Yes, you'll be upscaled and you won't have all the skills, and yeah, you're at a disadvantage. But I still was able to whoop some people's asses on my way up and have a good time with it. So that by the time I got to max level, I was more interested in it than, let me just jump in at max and I'm dead.
Okay, so you say that, but where's your incentive after that to even play the game more and get the other skills and get better PvP?
Just so you guys know, Mel needs to come in here and get luggage because she's got to get a flight. So she's gonna come in a couple minutes, or as soon as possible. She can come in whenever because it is urgent. So yeah, just letting you guys know that. I just feel like if you don't give people a means to get into a game strictly for PvP, you don't generate a PvP audience in the first place. Everyone joined Final Fantasy XIV and it was all PvE, and then when they introduced PvP, it was like, and then the few people who are interested in it still do it, but most people just abuse it in however many different ways they can to do it as little as possible and reap the rewards.
And I mean, unless you get PvP to teach you the same things that PvE is teaching you, I could understand that if they did the same thing that PvE does, where, not even Hall of the Novice or anything, but you get skills and hopefully you read your fucking tooltips.
And what happened to the trial? They said they were going to make a free trial of the game that would just put you at max level, and the only thing you queue in for is PvP. They never did that either. There's all these things that just they feel like it's second thought. PvP is always second thought in this game. It sounds like they want to make it a first thought, but the game is not structured around it being a first thought. You can't just make it a thought all of a sudden and it matters. Right. And it's esports. But you need to get people in and interested and doing it for anybody to even want to get to max level in PvP.
Well, excuse me. And here's the thing. My personal negativity towards PvP may come off as PvP should not be in the game at all. That is not what I am saying in any way, shape, or form. If you enjoy PvP, go for it. I'm not generally a fan of PvP in general, and Final Fantasies is subpar on my interest level of not being generally interested in PvP to begin with. So full disclosure on where I'm coming from. If you love it and it's your thing and it's the only reason you play Final Fantasy XIV, God bless you, Godspeed, have fun. When we're looking at this from the context of an esport, though, an esport, it's easy to look at the hype at fan fests over matches, right? It's easy to look at that hype and say, hey, there might be a market for this in esports because of look at the crowd and the people and how excited they are and everything. One, the PvP is not nearly solid enough for esports, and this is coming from a guy who does nothing but write articles and editorials and play this stuff in all other games just to be able to write intelligently about the topic. It is just not balanced enough for that. And two, if at some point you did get it balanced enough, the excitement that happens at fan fests and things like that is a full audience of people that know your game inside and out enough to be interested in spending money flying and getting into your fan festival. If you've never played Final Fantasy at all, Final Fantasy XIV at all, or you've just maybe glanced at it or touched it, look at the interface. It isn't like watching a League of Legends match where in 5 to 15 minutes, you could generally figure out, if you had no experience with League of Legends, you could generally figure out what those 4 abilities tend to do. When you have a hotbar of, dozens of abilities, dozens of them, and, over a dozen jobs that are in the matches, and the scale of which some of these matches go as far as number of players, and the ability for burst healing and burst damage to be the name of the game in certain cases. And God, you have to know the game to watch it, and that does not really benefit the esports scene as far as, oh, there's a new game doing some esports tournament, let's go check it out.
Yeah.
Without doing some additional...
I'd be more interested in watching a fucking esports Dead by Daylight tournament than I'd be watching a Final Fantasy XIV tournament. Oh, man. And by the way, when I was at North American Fan Festival, so many people walked out when the PvP stuff was still. They're like, whatever, it's PvP. Whatever.
There's also the danger of how expensive it is to get into that arena before you start recouping that expenditure that you put in there. And where does that expenditure come from? They've already talked about not being interested in VR for exactly that reason. Right?
Yeah.
They played with it. They thought they could do some things. Frame rate might be an issue. You got to get the frame rate bumped up as high as possible to avoid the motion sickness some people get to. And you're talking about a very small audience with a huge financial investment. And granted, esports is much bigger than the VR scene. I'm just making the comparison that there is a huge upfront expenditure to push into that arena. And if you don't have a product that pushes back at some point, where's that expense coming from, and where are those development resources being taken from?
According to the chat, with all this money, they could have put a tank in the expansion. I love it. Could have put a tank in the expansion. And deleted Paladin. Anyway, we are getting a new tank. It's called Paladin.
And we're getting a much better warrior off tank.
We'll see. And then it's even more ballsy to then claim you want to do a world championship. Our fan fests are even segmented. When are you going to bring everyone together?
What would the pot be like for that? I just like, from a standpoint,
you know what they'll probably do? They'll probably put a minion in the Mog Station, be like 50% of this minion sales go into the pot or something like that, I'd imagine. That's how games with not like insane thriving PvP, or even actually that's not true. Dota did they had what was it, like 12 million, and that's kind of how they did it. It wasn't the same exact thing, but they made it so you could contribute to it. There you go.
There's just a danger in this that every game hits. It's not just exclusive to Final Fantasy. I mean, I've talked about this with numerous titles. Not every title has to do everything and be amazing at everything. I think that even the people that are really into Final Fantasy XIV's PvP will generally agree with me in saying that the story content is much better than the PvP experience is. They just happen to enjoy PvP, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be the PvP game of choice for everybody to go to. When you start talking, everybody says that same thing. We want to push into esports. Jesus Christ. Not everything has to be a damn esport. And look at how many aren't. Look at how many. I'm
going into Zelda. That's it. Zelda fucking esport. Here we go.
Right.
Throwing the boomerang.
Now, do we think this is a like a dev decision or a Square decision?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the devs would love to see it, because if you do it right, it's like it feels really good to see this whole thing evolve and unfold. It's almost like seeing the launch of the game in a sense. See these giant crowds watching your game. Problem is, you have to have a giant crowd watching your game for that to be exciting. And I'm sure Square Enix, every company looks at the competitive scene. I remember, I think it was Rainbow Six Siege. They really wanted that to blow up in esports, and it blew up competitively, but Counter-Strike still dominated that market. And same with Blizzard, wanted Heroes of the Storm to dominate the MOBA market, and it's still there, but it doesn't dominate. And then Overwatch is now their next big ticket into esports, and that's been doing well-ish, and they have the league now and whatnot. But every company wants it, but it's not always practical. We don't need it to be an esport. I think liking PvP and wanting PvP to be an esport are two incredibly different things.
I'm glad we can at least agree there.
Yeah. It's just everything's bad. Like MMO PvP also is just generally like, even when WoW had its place more so in the esport, it's not amazing. It's just not amazing to watch. So I'm gonna stick to my Smite, my League, my Counter-Strike Go. I'm gonna stick to all the other ones that are currently out. I'm not gonna show any interest in this, as much as I'd love to. I'm cool for holding tournaments and shit, just not esports like a league and a world
you want to do the seasons and the tournaments of the feast and all that stuff. Go for it. Put it in the game. I think just trying to push into the esports.
Oh, that's right. We forgot. We forgot. They are already pushing into esports with Blitzball. How did we miss this? How did we miss this? Damn. It was right under our noses the whole time. Damn. Good thing. Can't wait. Can't wait for Blitzball esports.
I can't.
I can. Kill me now. Yeah, I love fighting over the wolf's heart in a Blitzball match. Fan-fucking-tastic. That thing is OP, by the way. I don't know if you guys have done the new map. It's fucking stupid. If you win the wolf's heart, you probably win the game.
Win the match, yeah.
It's like a 3-minute buff that spawns 4 minutes into the match. The match is 8 minutes long, and you're like a fucking god once you have it. Oh man, Lords of Dominion too.
With the wolf heart, you probably fucked up.
Yeah, well, and people just fight over the box, because the box is a shit ton of health.
Yeah.
So with that, and I love that the person on the Reddit thread included the comments under it. What's it called? People like, they're insane. Stop dreaming. This game is gonna lower in quality if they do it. They need a system like Deep Dungeon where you could just instantly go to max level and have the skills for PvP. You need frequent updates to game balance and not once every 3.5 months when you decide something.
The best one that sums it up without being a dick about it is we have so many fun PvP games out there today, and you think people would choose to play such crap PvP. All right, maybe they're being a little bit of a dick there. I enjoy the raid.
That doesn't sound
raid
less
primals,
Yeah.
but when it comes to PvP, games like League of Legends, Rainbow Six, they're much more fun to play. I'm sorry, but it's not about Final Fantasy XIV winning or losing. It's just not even an option. Also, what's before you discuss anything with sponsors, talk to your players. Are you out of your mind to think that esports
Dude, we already got Cup Noodle. They work with 15, they'll work with 14. We got it. They can make a PvP arena it's in a Cup Noodle. Or the buffs could be turned into Cup Noodles. That's where the money is.
Don't ruin Cup Noodles for me. You're just basically
We live in America. It's been ruined.
Well, there's also the concern too. I mean, there's already a bit of a PvP fractured, and somebody commented about that portion on the Reddit that they've kind of fractured by dividing feast and front lines as far as balancing and stuff. So they're breaking things apart a little bit. But if you think about that too, you also have to either talk about doing a PC and a PS4 version, or only doing a PC version. Like Smite has snuck into the consoles as well, but even they segregate their tournaments.
Yeah.
And it's
not about saying that it's not even about saying
here.
that like one player is higher quality than the other. It's the tool.
No,
like,
it's
yes,
the tool.
you could plug a keyboard and a mouse into a PS4, but does it perform at the same potency as a high tier gaming, esports type computer? Yes, you can plug a controller into a computer, but does it perform? You generally want people to be as on close to the same in terms of they can be comfortable.
I just think the whole discussion is silly. It's just silly. The PvP isn't nearly good enough or fine-tuned enough. And I don't think the player base wants that. Yeah, okay, I buy the argument that maybe it'll open up the game a little bit to people that may not have looked at it and gather a few more players. But I think when you're talking about the millions of dollars it takes to push, you could probably spend a fraction of that millions of dollars into some creative marketing that would accomplish the same scrape of new players. I understand the appeal of wanting to get out there in front of millions and millions and millions and millions of people. This just isn't the tool for that in this particular game.
Yeah. Oh, and then the different frame rates also. That's the big thing. Yeah. That was why Destiny didn't do their, everything all in the same, because of frame rates between last gen, current gen, different consoles. Yeah, all that shit. Okay, so that's going to be it for the, what's it called? The Korean stuff, the stuff that came out of Korea. It's good to get some information. Got to have a good information week. Let's talk about the upcoming stuff that's going to be happening here. So we found out today, or last night, that 3.55B, the Diadem patch, is Thursday at 2 a.m. Pacific. I'm upset. I'm upset.
Because you'll be traveling.
No,
Yeah,
so here's the plan. I don't fly out till 9 a.m. I'm gonna alarm clock the pass.
Oh my god.
And then I'll get on the plane and I'll play Legend of Zelda on my Switch for about probably 2.5 hours before it dies. And then
2.5 hours. Yeah.
3 hours. And then I'll plug it into a charger and hope that it survives. And then so there's that. I don't know if you guys are planning on doing much Diadem this weekend.
No.
Hey, what about the Hunting Hawk?
I keep looking for its price to drop on the market board. That's all.
Maybe it will, or maybe it'll be easier to get a new one, and you'll be like, you know what? Yeah,
I highly doubt that. I extremely doubt that they'll drop the Hunting Hawk prices.
Well, we'll see. Well, I don't even know. I think there's like 20 mil.
I'm checking right now. So.
Well, can people even sell them now? Like, Diadem's been gone, and they didn't put it anyplace else, I don't think. I mean, people can sell them, but there's no new ones on the market. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tend to see them in batches of 1 and 2. No, it's not something that's up there, and so the price tag is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's been bought.
I'm going to alarm clock it. I've already got groups being
You
formed.
have fun with that.
Yeah.
You
I
have
gotta
fun.
listen. I'm gonna stream at PAX East, but I gotta do this.
Yeah, you have to do this because you're like it's a short span of time that you have before you have to travel. So you have to do this. Now, if you didn't have to do this, you wouldn't.
No, I do it at 7 a.m. when my normal stream time is, but that's not an option because I'm gonna be going to the airport about that time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are you gonna be at East, Byrne?
No, not going to East this year.
Son of a bitch. You're like, I go to all the I'm not going to East.
I didn't say all. I didn't
Said
say
a
all.
lot.
I
Said
do.
a lot.
I have been to an awful lot of them, but not going to East this year.
Damn it. I was going to say, come by my meet and greet. Come
See
meet
the
me.
haps.
Come
See
meet
the
me.
haps.
Yeah. See the haps.
See the
Hit
haps. That's what I was going to say. So then the other thing is PAX East is this weekend, and they have a Warring Triad roulette for shirts, which is cool. I like that idea of using the Warring Triad like that. But more importantly, there's not a live letter, but there is a Q&A Saturday at noon. So how, on a scale of 1 to peaches, what kind of questions are we expecting to come out of this Q&A?
Strawberries.
Questions or answers?
Strawberries? On a scale of 1 to peaches, Sly says strawberries. Questions.
I mean, I think we'll get a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but a few quality of life questions. Go ahead.
Out of 15 questions, how many will be questions that he has answered in the last 2 live letters?
7.
Half the questions.
Pretty much.
I think it's probably higher.
I lowballed.
I think it's probably around 10.
I really lowballed it there, but yeah, you're kind of right.
When are add-ons? When are we gonna get add-ons? Hey, can we get Koyo difficulty back?
You know, it's funny. There's a lot of stuff that they're talking about doing, like UI things for certain class-specific or job-specific. It's like if you would just allow add-ons, 90% of the things you're talking about doing
Would be done
year
for
down the
you.
road would be done for you automatically.
Mhm.
Yep. But that's.
But people ruin the community.
Yeah, but then people would ruin everything.
Yeah.
They'd all be summoners. They'd ruin everything.
I don't see a lot coming out of this Q&A. I just don't.
No. Okay. Well, I know that I mean, the thing is, I'm not even looking at the Q&A. Let's be honest. Media companies will be there doing interviews with him most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of always forget that I could technically maybe ask to be a part of this. I never do. I don't ever ask like, hey, could I interview him? I just go, oh, that's cool. I'll read the interviews, and they go, I'll read whatever interviews people do, and they go, I should really start doing that. So, I know Reddit is bringing questions of their own from everyone there. I even had a day 1 and a day 2. I don't know if that means they have 2 different allocations to ask questions or what the heck they're gonna do. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what we get out of this. I think we will get something, at least a tidbit at most of something useful. I'm waiting for the next live letter though, which we still don't know when it is. All right. So anyway, that's almost everything. I actually didn't originally intend on doing a community highlight because I didn't think there was anything to do a community highlight on, so I don't have a slide prepared for it. But there's a post on Reddit that I couldn't help but find immense pleasure out of reading. That post, and I will read it. Let's see. Apparently, somebody went out of their way to make statistics on how many purebred players have the name Kirito in their name. So there are.
I can't even say anything about this because we've actually talked about this in my stream about how many people have the name Kirito.
Okay. I want you guys to give me an over/under on, without knowing the number off the top of your head, how many people in total have the name Kirito, have Kirito as part of their name?
Byrne, I'll let you go first on this one.
Over/under on everyone, purebred and non-purebred. I think purebred means I don't know what the difference is actually. What's the difference between purebred and non-purebred? I don't know if that means like they
it means
start
horses.
Okay.
That's basically what it means.
I'm gonna go with across All data centers, huh?
Yeah, every single one.
I'm going to go with over 9,000.
Well, that would be correct. That would absolutely be correct.
All right, so to narrow it down, I'll put it at, for Slyh to take a shot at over under, I'll put it at 24,000, Slyh.
Damn it. See, yeah, you actually hit pretty close to what I was going to hit. I was going to say 25.
The answer is about 25.5 thousand.
Wow.
Bob Barker.
They're
Coming on down.
Let's
Wow.
see. 872 of them are on Zodiac, 801 on Lich, 600. I think that these are broken down between different classifications. Of all of them, 6,309 of them are here males. 3,556 of them are Mikote males. 1,106 of them are Elzen males, and the rest trail off to be under 1,000. Only 31 of these Kuritos are Rogadan females. I can't believe this information.
I'm seriously mad that there's actually statistics for this bullshit. There's an actual census for Kuritos. There's a Kurito census in 14.
When did Sword Art Online even come
The
out?
Orsian census for Kuritos.
Everyone keeps telling me it's because of Sword Art Online, and I don't watch anime, so someone's going to need to... When did Sword Art Online come out? Because some people say that the game...
Years ago.
So did it come out in 2013, around the time that 14 was released?
Oh, it was well before that.
Was it?
Well before that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Everyone kept telling me it had something to do with like the launch of Sword Art Online or so. I don't know. Maybe the games or I don't know. I love that this information exists and that this is how we wait for expansions. I'm really depressed there's not a job breakdown though of like what job each Kurito is playing.
That's coming in the next.
I think we need to get that in the next Eorzean census.
No, no, it's not the Eorzean census. It's the Kurito census. There's a difference.
Oh, it hit Netflix around the time A Realm Reborn came out. The look on your fucking faces.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the show.
Yeah, we got
there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I could walk over and look at a copyright, but I'm pretty sure books was like 08, 09.
2012 was the anime. We have 2012 as the
2012
anime.
would be the anime. There's a movie coming out this year.
Yep.
There is a job breakdown for it. Apparently most of them are dragoons. You're welcome, Sly.
So, that's the show, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the show.
Thank you so much for coming.
You always end on a high note.
Yeah, we always end on a high note. I feel like we need more information like this.
Like we were fucking high to do this note, or that kind of high note. Yeah, you're right.
Oh man. Well, everyone, I want you to now go play the Kurito drinking game. Go into Idleshire, turn on all the names. If you're really hardcore, just do a player search with the first name Kurito. See how many of them are online, and take one shot for every single one. You'll be dead by tomorrow, so don't actually play that game.
Challenge accepted. Go on.
Sly, you'll drink anyway. That doesn't count.
Yeah, pretty much.
I gotta find. I found one of the.
So take a shot for everyone. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
There you go. Oh man, this is great. All right. Anyway, so on that note, I'm gonna wrap the show up on a high note. So, Mr. Byrne, thank you again for joining us on such short notice. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you at, my good
Always
sir?
a pleasure. Thank you so much, Sly. It's excellent to spend time with you, even though Happy interrupts us talking. I'd rather just have the conversation with you. You've hosted you've been on more shows than Mr. Happy has been anyway, so I'm not really sure what he's doing here anymore. But Sly, it's always good to see you. And Happy, I just bust the balls. I love you. I respect you. Love and support your content, even financially. So big fans. Thank you, chat. Thank you so much for the invite. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at Magickmann1, Magickmann1. If you want to follow game stuff, even though it may not be Final Fantasy related, Do that at mmobomb.com. That's where we cover all free-to-play gaming, including MMOs. And, of course, if you want to follow me on Twitch, I occasionally stream. I don't do it as a career there, so it's whenever the fuck I feel like it.
Sly, why don't you tell them where they can find you and all the other, as I'm being corrected by chat, Kirito.
You can find me at twitch.tv/Sly, aka Greyfox. You can find me on Instagram at Sly, aka Greyfox07. You can find me on Twitter at Slythefox. You can find me on the YubTubs, youtube.com/The Velvet Room. You can find me on Plot 14, Ward 5 of Behemoth, but not so much now because I'm still doing Countdown to the Heist, where we are right now doing Persona 2 Innocent Sin. Last night was fucking crazy. A lot of good copies of Persona 5 have homes now. I have to buy more copies. But yeah, all the month of March, of course, I'm doing my Countdown to the Heist. Going through all the main numbered Persona games, so you are more than welcome to come by and watch that if you are interested or don't really know about Persona. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And Happy, where can they find you if not online this week?
You can find me. I like how I have a background for my fucking thing here, but I didn't include a background for the entire. I was just in the void with a green screen the entire show, and now I've got this sweet Final Fantasy background right now. Anyway, you can find me, Mr. Happy127, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, the YubTubs. Although Xehanort1227 is also on the YubTubs because, taking an account you made in 2006 when you liked Kingdom Hearts more than anything else, and then making it your actual business YouTube account is a fantastic idea. I will be at PAX East this upcoming weekend. A few schedule updates. I'll be streaming from the Intel booth for 2 hours on each day. So be on the lookout for that. I will not have a normal stream schedule. On top of that, I have my meet and greet at the Twitch booth at 12:30 on Saturday. That's at the Twitch booth. I know that the Final Fantasy XIV one is at 12, but I'll be there from 12:30 to 2, so there's plenty of time to come by, take a picture, and say hello. And other than that, you can just find me around. There's even a contest where me and I think 20 other broadcasters, if you're walking around and you take a picture and you tag us and you tag the right hashtag, you have to go to the tweet that I tweeted out earlier today. You could win $50 Steam gift cards and shit just from going around and looking for us like weirdos. I gotta find him. Where is he? I want that $50. Are you Mr. Happy? I don't even know who the fuck you are. Come over here. There. Boom. You stream on Twitch? I don't give a fuck. $50 Steam gift card. Here we go.
People are going to be photoshopping bullshit like that. Just to let you know.
People who aren't good at Photoshop. Yeah. They'll have us in the Grand Canyon. Shit like that. Yeah. That would be fantastic. But anyway, thank you again for joining me. It was an extra long show because we like to talk dumb shit the entire time and get off on tangents. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week, where hopefully PAX East has given us something of substance to talk about. And we'll get to talk about the diadem anyway. Or the delay-adem, as I like to call it. Or the dino-dem, whatever the fuck you want to actually call it. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Until then, bye-bye.
See you next week.